Yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. She gon' bust it. She gon' rush it. She gon' yeah. What's up, baby? Tell me how you get the one up on me. Aye. And I know you ain't playing round. You about to have me down on one knee. Aye. I got that soul. Now she done came and snatched the soul out of me. Aye. She got that gold. She close enough. She open up. You go to sleep. Aye. Now if you ever get to meet her, better keep it shot. About to make a supersonic man out of you. She go below the belt. You better go for help. Get shot. About to make a supersonic man out of you. I wanna be her man. Now I'm a believer. She used both hands. Now I'm a believer. Yeah. Big gun, baby. I'ma pull it out and shooting my shot. I got a feeling I can bust it, baby. Trust me, baby, I do this a lot. She do that roll. Now I'ma double tap that booty like I did. She take that pole. All the way down that choking sign gon' make me ski. I ski. Yeah, now if you ever get to meet her, better keep a shot. About to make a supersonic man out of you. She go below the belt, you better go for help. Get shot. About to make a supersonic man out of you. I wanna be her man. Now I'm a believer. She used both hands. Now I'm a believer.
Hello everyone and welcome to some Monday night MEC action. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name's Mac Dewey. Joining me in the casting booth for our last matchups of week number 1 is my main man Orbital. How are you doing tonight, my guy?
I'm doing all right. Excited to be here. Excited to get some games underway. We got one series tonight, so hopefully it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. A best of 3 between Cleveland State University and Drury University. This, again, is going to be our last matchup of week number 1. So let's take a quick look at the standings to see where these teams have ended up so far. Drury University, a classic staple of the MEC, started off with a week 1 win against Cornell College, while Cleveland State is looking to come back a little bit after getting taken down by our defending champs, Grandview University. A tough welcome to the MEC, but hoping they're able to bounce back tonight in this matchup.
I mean, that's what we're kind of expecting. Of course, Drury and no slouches themselves. Their first match of the season looked great, honestly. Very, very one-sided. It felt that they had a very good read on the meta. You're taking a look, they were one of the few to actually pick a play, I think. Watching their matchup, it was very well done by Orion and very, very strong. So having a handle on the meta so early on does lead a little bit more towards me sitting there going, okay, Drury's got a good understanding. But as you said, Cleveland kind of fed to the wolves there, said, hey, this is your welcome. This is what happens. And now you have to be able to bounce back, because if you do go 0-2 on the week, it doesn't feel great. It doesn't really give that vibe that, hey, I'm here to play.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, kind of final matchup of the week, kind of both morale opportunities for both squads. Drury being able to maybe start the fresh year 2-0, I think would be huge for the Drury faithful. So they're hoping for a good game. And you mentioned him, freshman in the mid laner, Orion, straight out of high school, and already making an impact on the team. So I'm really looking forward to see what other picks he breaks out. I feel like with the new season, a lot of stuff is open. He brought out the Yone as well into the mid lane, so some flashy picks, and I'm hoping we get more like it Orbital, because I think it makes it a little bit more exciting to watch and stuff. And especially with him being new to the roster, I think there's a lot of potential here as we get a roster breakdown on both sides.
We got Jason, Kha'Zix, as well as Shoes, Scrub McLord, and Aqua Chad running up the side for the Cleveland squad. They're going to be trying to take their first game and series win here today. And then, of course, on the side of Drury, you know them already. Quick Slice, Kaiser, Orion, and Fat Cat. And you were talking about the fact that Orion had a pretty good handle already, a very star player coming out, freshman to come in. And I have to say, already seeing both a Yone as well as a Hui brings two different meta styles to the table, right? We're talking about being able to be flexible in that mid lane, which right now the mid lane is very popular for either roaming, influencing the rest of the map, being able to help your jungle, maybe taking grubs or anything like that. At the same time, being able to flex into that domination factor of, hey, I have control over the mid lane, being able to flex both the Hui and say, I can play long range and then play the Yone and be like, I'm now lane fully dominant in a whole different style, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Hui is annoyingly dominant for a mage. It still means that you can bring both factors, which opens up such a large variety of compositions to run.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of kind of prepping for this match was watching the VOD and hearing Travesty commentate the Yone gameplay, because he was just like, what the heck is going on? What do you do? Orion was running down the enemy mid laner, getting the solo kills, and when you get that sort of domination factor on your roster, it can really open a lot of not only different team compositions, but also I think just play style and, hey, opening up the map, like, hey, I'm just gonna kill the mid laner, you guys can take fights elsewhere, you won't have to worry about that being a threat. Considering that for Drury University, looking on the side of Cleveland State, they put up, honestly, it was kind of interesting, their series against Grandview, because of the dramatic shift between game 1 and 2. They went really aggressive, especially kind of hoping, I think, for a lot of 4-man bot plays, relying on their star ADC Scrub McLord, who, I'll tell you what, Orbital, after the game 1 adjustments, was laning super well against the likes of Nightstar and Pluto. So I'm curious how we'll be able to stack up with Drury, if they've got their game plan maybe a little bit more adjusted, kind of calibrated to the meta, still kind of figuring things out in the new season. I'm wondering what they'll bring to the bot lane tonight.
I mean, the bot lane is one, but I have to commend Cleveland. You were talking about the adjustments that they were making from game 1. Try something out. I mean, you're running the TF, the Vi. This is very engaged, as you were saying. Game 2 had a much better stance, a much more meta stance, I should say. You're bringing out the Corki, which has obviously been all over the place in Tier 1 as well as down below. You already know that one. You had the Viego, the Ornn, the Varus, the Braum. These are all standard. What worries me is you were talking about the bot lane. I'm actually worried about the top side. Jason, even though they were able to play both the Gragas and the Ornn, had a little bit of trouble handling their own. Granted, against Strict Proctor, someone that is well known as can bully you out. It's understandable. But right now, the loss of top lane pressure is more imminent than ever because of the spawning of the grubs. A lot of junglers do like to put focus up there. If you're playing weak side, it's very dangerous. You are basically forfeiting that control, and all of a sudden that can push the early game out of control if it's handed to the enemy just that easily. So honestly, for me, as much as I want to see bot lane take off, I want to see Jason be able to hold their own. It doesn't matter the champion. It doesn't matter what champion you play. I understand some of them are called weak side kings and everything, but you need to hold steady. As right now, the grubs, a lot of people, yes, you're fluctuating. Hey, grubs maybe not as strong as we thought. but it's still an actual PowerPoint now. You have to take a look at that, and you can't be losing that top side, or else your mid lane's gonna have to pick up the slack.
Yeah, and sort of building on that point, Orbital, talking with Fat Cat before the game, he gave a lot of praise to Quick Slice on the top side of the map as being a shot caller and voice on the team. So I'm curious if he'll be able to, I know we're talking about Jason rising to the occasion. I'm worried against Quick Slice. It might be a challenging matchup as we get into draft for game number 1.
And taking a look here, I expect some of those PowerPoints to be taken away, right? We're looking at the Azir Corki. If you do want to focus side of Cleveland, I mean, unless you want to give it, you know you'll get one or the other. And so the thought for me is, do you just want to have a standard mid lane, which Orion, I mean, Orion can do it. That's fine. Do whatever you want to. But the other side is starting to focus some of those flex picks. We've seen the likes of the Udyr just kind of run rampant. We've seen a lot of flexibility lately with all the items that you can kind of run. And Udyr, I think, benefited the most in terms of flexibility. You just don't want to give it. You just don't want to give it. The Draven on the other side is another one. I hate lethality so much. The fact that Draven is now back in the meta, even without lethality, just frustrates me to Kingdom Come.
Well, we may see that on coming from the Drury bot lane, the ADC, going Jhin back-to-back games in the first series. So I think we can't avoid it. It is banned away, but there are plenty of those, as you mentioned, Draven, also Misfortune. There's a lot of those lethality champions that are slowly but surely creeping their way into the meta. Something I do want to potentially point out as we're talking about power picks in this first draft phase, Drury taking away a lot of aggressive picks that scrub McLord. Or Orbital, I'll just be frank, we're seeing teams just not even let him get his hands on those champions. They're like, we can't have it. We really can't. So yeah, I think there we get to kind of see, what else Cleveland State has up their sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start flexing some things. I've heard some inklings, of course, of AP in the bot side. Go ahead, throw lethality assassin in the mid lane, which, granted, assassins are now coming back. I think Talon is one of the highest ranking solo queue assassons right now, just very frustrating to play against. Or if you want to go AP, Fizz is still doing okay after some of the knocks on the wood there, and then as well as, you're talking about some of the other crazy ones, so I get it. But as you said, a little bit of focus on CSU. The Bard now taken away from the likes of Fat Cat. You can't let that roam around. Now with the J4 ban on the flip side, Drury really taking away a lot of these power options, a lot of these opportunities to create fights in that early to mid game.
I do try and pay attention to what the color casters are laying down. Shibby mentioned something that just came through. The Karma wasn't banned, Orbital. He was saying it's like perma on red side. You got to take it away. Cleveland State, not banned. They take it blue one.
It's so strong. It's so powerful. And granted, the fact that I think the buffs already came through, it's scary, right? Like, Karma is annoying. Karma is frustrating. There are ways to shut it down, though. We talked about the fact that, yes, in the early to mid game, if it is going in that mid lane or anything like that, it can be powerful. The AP buffs are there. However, if you flex it into the top or support, it does tend to fall off a little bit. I say that with a grain of salt, right? A little bit towards that late game. So if you have the power to kind of push through that early to mid with strong picks, if you can kind of neutralize the value, you're good to go. That's why the Jax is coming out. That's also why I think we are seeing that Ezreal play a little bit safer. You don't have to contest all the time. You can, and maybe you can trade some of those autos in between. CSU going to have a little bit of interesting time kind of delivering with that Karma behind.
Yeah, and this Ezreal pick also kind of plays into Drury potentially worried about an aggressive bot lane coming out of CSU, but it's going to be the Varus pick, which I feel like has been popping up anywhere. It kind of reminds me of back in the day how Caitlyn used to be just like really long ranged, kind of oppressive. Varus is in a really good spot, does a ton of damage early. You can go lethality. You can also go if there's a lot of tanks on the side of Drury, you can maybe go for an alternative build as well there. So something safe. And Shoes is going to lock in that Corki pick. Orbital, I'm seeing a lot of picks that they found success with in that second match against Grandview. Seems maybe they found a little bit of a play style that they like. Some of the adaptations that I was a big fan of in that second match was Kha'Zix played Viego, really solid pathing in the second game, able to get to bot lane, make an impact. I wonder what they're going to give him in the jungle as Orion, the aforementioned Hui, gets locked in for the mid lane.
And I like it, right? We saw the Corki come out. This is a safe pickup for shoes. However, one of the things that Hui does very well is if you give an inch, he will take a mile. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. Right now, you were touching on the fact that Kaizik's having a little bit of power in there, given the Viego, given the opportunity with the backup from the rest of the team. I like it. However, Drury has the opportunity to kind of stifle that. They have so far a composition that kind of wants to move forward. Yes, you know, the Ezreal and the Hui may not be so much, but if you start taking away some of those engage tools from CSU, you leave them with just squishies. If you have kind of the gonads to just go ham, you can run down the CSU squad. They don't really have that much behind, but again, that is all just my slow, I want to say like gold level brain talking here, so we'll see what they do.
Yeah, as we get into the second phase of ban, CSU is going to continue to focus on this bottom side of the map, take some of the flexibility away from Fat Cat. I'm really curious if he's going to go for something. I mean, they're taking away, honestly, it looks like for me, his roaming potential, which you'd maybe like to have in your back pocket with a safe pick like an Ezreal. Try to get around the map. You've got this Jax, so maybe Grubs becomes a lot larger of a priority for that split push game. Curious if CSU going to continue to target Fat Cat or maybe take something away from the jungle, as Kaiser still has something left to pick as well. The Orin taken away from Jason, want to limit those safe options, as Quick Slice, I think, is going to be wanting to go ham with this Jax pick.
Yeah, I mean, the Lilia ban away obviously says, hey, Kaiser, you don't get one of those power picks. You don't get to play that scaling jungler. Or, you know, right now, even mid lane, which is doing crazy. Obviously, the play is there. Can be flexed, technically, into support if you wish. But, I mean, let's be honest. Every champion can be flexed right now. That's just the bottom line here. What you're looking at, there's the Ashe, another poke champion, which I do like. It can match in range, I think, right now. It can match in range versus the Varus and the Karma. But it's still dangerous. Don't get me wrong. If the Ashe gets caught out, you're kind of screwed. So it's a long-range poke game that Drury are playing. Just keep them in check. Don't let them get out of control. Here's the problem. This is what I was seeing. Kaiser giving counter pick. Right now, Cleveland are in a very rough state. Not only do you know that Quick Slice is going to get kind of a free top lane, it's dangerous. You now have to blind pick jungle, which the Wukong comes out. Kaiser's going to have a fantastic time, I think, here in this game.
Well, you've got a lot of options. I mean, the Viego's still open. You've got Nocturne. Orbital is one of these jungle picks in particular calling your name.
For Kaiser, I'm not so sure. I mean, like, I'm interested because you see the Wukong, you see this Maokai, which is also very strong right now. It's a lot of stopping tools, you know. It's just hey, stop, don't go too far. I don't want to go crazy. I have seen the inklings of, you know, Karthus still being thrown around. You just power farm your way up, and then you just kind of drop the orbital strike on them, so to speak. It might not be bad if you know that you're not going to get in, but the Gwen is a massive challenge there. I like it. It's a good way to stay away from everyone and still get into the mix. Now, of course, my slow brain, I'm thinking Gwen top, but obviously Gwen and Jax can be interchangeable inside the jungle role, so we'll see where exactly it wants to be put.
This is part of the fun with the new season, right? Orbital, in the casting booth, we gotta start running the numbers, see which kind of potion brews mix the best. Because I could honestly see both as well. You've got a little bit of a breakdown here. Production gonna help us out. Gwen in the top lane. Jax for Kaiser in the jungle, and then I think for Drury we had a pretty good idea of where the rest of those picks were gonna go. We'll see if Fat Cat can pull off some miracle arrows on some of these limited. I mean, I feel like target number one has got to be Scrub McLord with limited mobility. But kind of thinking about how these team fights are gonna go, I am kind of worried if Drury get behind, they have so much engage to worry about between the package, between Wukong and Maokai trying to set up large areas of control with their CC, and it's all just going to be sped up by the Karma Express orbital. So I kind of like what CSU has put together. Something that kind of worries about me, though, while they had a really strong early game against Grandview, it was their objective setup that I think could use a little bit of work. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on their team synergy in these mid-game fights around dragons. against Grandview, they got wiped. Grandview got Baron, and then the game that play caused the game to crash, and we couldn't see the rest because Grandview just took care of business. So I'm curious to see if CSU will be able to clean up some of those shot calling errors a little bit here in the second series of the season.
I think that's something that I would agree with 100%. This is a team comp that they have built that has a good mix of both engage and disengage if you so wish. As you can tell, the Chain of Corruption can come out. Same with the Wukong Cyclone. Like, these are all tools that can be used in either situation. What scares me is if you pick these champions for a defensive posture, you saw the likes of the play, you saw the likes of the Jax that immediately screams, I want to go in on Drury's side, and you think I need to be defensive. Here's the thing, if CSU get a lead, they need to be understanding of, we have a lead, not we have a safe cover. You need to be willing to take that pressure and run it straight into the ground. You need to say, hey, we need to start tower diving, set up those tower dives, set up around those objectives, start getting more kills, put the pressure down on Drury, because as you said, their setup around the objectives felt a little wishy-washy. Even if they felt steady, they weren't confident. So that's what I want to see from them. I want to see confidence from the side of Cleveland here today.
Yeah, and also, Shoes, a big member, was popping off on the Corki before. Those packages are few and far between, so will he have the prime time delivery orbital? We'll have to see as we head into game number 1. Summoners, welcome onto the Rift. It's Cleveland State University versus Drury University in week 1 of the 2024 CLOL MEC season.
I like it. I like it. I also love the respect from Scrub McLord. The cleanse I figured was going to come out as soon as you see both the Hwei and the Ash or anything of the sort. You're like, yeah, this is... I don't really have a choice, right? You don't have a choice. You lose kind of that offensive side, but you do have the pressure. And I see the comment coming out as well. This is going to be a very offensive side. Aqua Chad saying, yep, this is our time. But right in this mid lane, this is going to be fun, right? These are two that, again, we said we were going to talk about later. Hwei is a champion that can be flexed into kind of covering whatever options you need, right? If you want to be a hard aggressor, you can be the hard aggressor. If you need to be that kind of that roaming helper, the W allows you so many buffing abilities. You need to be that CC chain. Yeah, obviously it's not great. It still can provide so much pressure, and then at some points it could be all three, right? You're looking at kind of a mixed bag. You just cannot be afraid. From Shoes, you got to be willing to get in there, trade properly. Of course, it's difficult, right? Like, you don't have that much power, but Orion, if allowed to get the poke down, if allowed to be an annoyance, it's pretty much just destruction at that point.
Yeah, and kind of building on that mid lane matchup, I think this is a bit of a test for Orion going up against a strong veteran presence in Shoes, who before really... for Cleveland State, serves as kind of a coach admin role, so you've got some maturity from Shoes in the mid lane. I'm curious how that matches up against this young blood slinger from Drury University, Orion, trying to make some more magic happen on this Hwei pick. I'm excited to see if he'll be able to make it happen.
That might be a chance. Of course, right now it's just it's the poke wars, who can get what damage down. And right now, Fat Cat and Yuno are doing great, and this is what I was kind of curious about, right? That range of Ezreal, Yuno, and Fat Cat know this matchup. They know how to abuse kind of the rage disparity, and Scrub McLord ate way too much damage there. You can see a little bit of the HP difference. Fat Cat also trying to hit that level 3. But potions being burned out on both sides is very dangerous. It's going to be very fun.
Both junglers headed towards the bottom side of the map, wave in pretty much an even spot, so I wonder if they'll end up meeting for a little bit of scuttle combat, or maybe just trying to gank, but you've got all summoner spells available. It'd be a very dynamic fight in the bot lane if that were to happen, but both either might fight in the bot lane or the scuttle, as Quick Slice dealing quite a bit of damage against Jason's Maokai.
Already up about a wave and a half there, and I said that was a lane that I was a little bit worried about, right? Because that now gives full control over to Drury. Something is not done, so gotta watch out, gotta see what happens here. And Quick Slice feeling very, very strong.
Yeah, and just look at the confidence there, being able to go under turret. You don't have the biggest wave, but he's able to cash in, get some of that demolish damage going, and hey, you'll absolutely take that to the bank. And as you work kind of towards that turret plating gold, as Orion has got the white combos down. He's done that like 2 or 3 times. He's got his bread and butter figured out. It clears the wave, and it is also catching Shoes, who is extremely low. With that mid pressure, Orion's gonna head into the river, and Kaiser has got complete control of this bottom side. Kaizix is gonna have to back off as the Drury solo laners are putting on the pain orbital.
And that just locks out top lane, right? The entire top side of your jungle, Kaizix, after losing that initial battle in the river, you're kind of at a loss of what to do next, right? I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't even know how I go to gank top side or mid. I don't even know how to go and contest 4 grubs. Like, what am I going to do here? She was able to teleport back, but Orion's still sitting at about 50%. This is not what you want to see after a teleport, right? You just lost out on a heavy amount of HP, and Orion's still sitting on their own TP. Look at this. This is brutal.
Oh my gosh. Orion gotta be careful, might have to flash away. Saves the summoner spell, gonna take the recall, has teleport in. He's gonna have more gold on this recall, so he ends up with a bit better back, and that might lead to Drury. You know, they've got the top lane pressure, grubs have spawned. They might be in a good position to go for the early objective.
I mean, they definitely can. Quick Slice was able to get off what I would refer to a cheater recall, but it wasn't really a cheater. It was straight up recall in the face. Didn't have to use TP, so you have that over Jason. So even if the fight goes wrong, you can sacrifice a little bit of time, and I think even Jason knows it.
Look at that. Kaiser getting to work. He's going to waste no time with the solo lane pressure getting this objective. And of course, if you're CSU, losing the first set of grubs, based on kind of how the lanes are set up, I feel like at this point you kind of expect it, but they can't see it on the map until that third one gets taken, so they don't have the vision control. They don't know what's going on in this area, although they might have a feeling. They get the global notification as Orion in a little bit of trouble. Kaizix, not quite level 6 yet, doesn't have the CC to lock him down, and he's just going to be able to walk out of the gank with not a care in the world.
Wow, that's that 2% move speed difference, right? Listen, in the new runes, that's what you got, right? I'm sure that's what Orion took. It's frustrating as all, but Fat Cat getting caught up here.
Oh, barely avoids the root, and they're gonna turn on to Aqualad, press the attack proc, but they're just gonna back off. Quick Slice not under turret aggro, but taking a whole lot of damage. Hasn't used the ultimate. Jason has his available, though not the most amount of mana. Quick Slice gonna try to get this wave shoved under turret with his ultimate. Jason, I don't think has quite enough mana to force a fight here, so he's just gonna have to CS under turret, take a little bit of that. Can't force the fight, and it's a 20 CS leader just about for the Gwen.
I mean, yeah, Quick Slice is doing great, and remember, you can afford to actually lose this amount of HP because you have TP. You're not worried about the low amount. You knew that you could trade out with Jason and not be killed, so now you get to take another wave. You get a pressure in. You know the recall came out, and that's still more pressure for Quick Slice, or you could hang on to it if you wish to look towards that bot lane, get massive, basically 80% control over this upcoming Drake. It's all up to you at this point, and that's the kind of Drury way at this point. Just be that strong individually.
Yeah, Kaizix, they're sitting around the they're sitting around the bot lane trying to make a play happen. But Kaizix not yet level 6. They're just gonna try to go for the dragon at this point. I don't know. I feel like Fat Cat might have a hawk shot coming off a cooldown shortly, but it's pretty long in the early game. I saw him use it when Kaiser was going for the grub. So with Kaiser on the top side of the map, it looks like they're just going to give over the first dragon of the game. There's the hawk shot. They're going to get the info that it's going on. But honestly, it's a bit of a lead right now for Kaiser on the Jax. He's got the level lead as well as a slight CS lead. He's maybe going to look for something mid, but might just be invading. These junglers might run into each other, Orbital.
That's the danger, right, Drury? They gave up the dragon. I should have known that. I obviously saw Kaiser, you know, go ahead and recall and all that, but this blue buff is going to be very, very dangerous. Remember, the range of Orion can keep them in range, but Jason just trying to keep Quick Slice in view right now and out of the view of any of the opponents. So right now, Kaiser's kind of on their own, was able to take blue, no problem.
Yep, Jason unable. The tree's pretty slow. He's only got boots of speed. Can't quite get there in time. Ultimate used in the mid lane by Orion. Shoes forced to back away. Jason doesn't stop the recall. And Orbital, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like there's another timeline where Jason follows Quick Slice back to base off of that recall.
Yeah, that should have happened, I think. It's not, though.
It's a little close.
Yeah. Quick Slice is back, though. Quick Slice is back and happy about it. And Jason's like, oh, really? This is what we're doing here today? This is what I got to deal with? Look at this. The little snips are just annoying to deal with here. And Jason already down to 50%. And you're out of mana as well, which is a problem. I know you have a little regen in your pocket, but it's frustrating to deal with this, and this overwhelming pressure now forces Kha'Zix to start looking towards that top lane, which is already warded out as well.
Fat Cat roaming up to the top side of the map. Scrub McLord and Aqualad as well. I believe the next set of grubs should be spawning relatively shortly, but
yep, there it is.
I mean, CSU rotating completely. Shoes with the teleport. Gonna sit on the bottom side of the map. On the Ezreal, hey, he's going to be just fine in that matchup. He's got the Arcane Shift, not too much to worry about. Looks like Kha'Zix has actually started the grubs. He's going to be able to get the first one, and Kaiser, honestly, he's on the bottom side of the map, not too worried. I wonder if, hey, at this point, do you just go for the invade or maybe a tower dive to get back some resources?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this was more CSU being kind of forced into the situation. They had to, and now they get to try and rotate into Quick Slice.
Pops the Ghost, flash root from Aqualad, though, gonna lock him down. Here comes the Cyclone.
Oh.
Here comes the Twisted Advance. Quick Slice, not enough regen to hang on there. Meanwhile, Kaiser flashing underneath the turret. Both teams losing solo laners on the opposite ends of the map. It's going to be, I believe, Drury with quite a bit of, push pressure. I was going to say, actually, everyone's just recalling after the fight's Orbital, so they're calling it even.
Yeah, I think Quick Slice should have known what was going down. Obviously, only when all three grubs are taken is when the notification gets going, but you saw the rest. You saw Scrub McLord as well as Aqua Chad moving up. And vanishing from mid lane. You knew that they were focused there, so a little bit further up than my own liking, but it's a small price to pay, right? You're now even on grubs, and here's the thing about grubs. Understandably, they seem OP. For a team that likes to push, for a team that likes to be in your face, it can be a very quick snowballing effect. However, a lot of people are starting to learn it doesn't give that much if you can stay even in the wave states, right? Unless it's an overpowering lane like Quick Slice in this top side in the 1v1 only. That's where we're going to see a lot of the value come out. So for right now, I think Drury are like, yeah, if we can just get stronger in the individual matchup, we're going to be okay on that bot side. Kaiser now granted a boon, gives them so much value in a trade. Now Quick Slice is even like, I can do what you did with 3 with just one other teammate.
Let's see, Quick Slice gonna heal up. Kha'Zix is on this side of the map. Orion's the first to roam. Jason might be sacrificed here. And it looks like that's the case. 1 kill going over to Drury. They chop down the tree in the forest as going to be forced to back off, play it safe. 1v2 in the bot lane.
And it feels, that's okay. You didn't die, you didn't have any problems. Quick Slice now able to cut that wave ever so slightly. These are kind of shaping up. It's a little bit slow, but it's working in their favor. Drury now sitting with about a 10 CS lead in the mid lane. In the jungle, multiple camps in favor. I don't even want to try and count those. In the top side, a 40 CS difference. And in the bot side is the only area we're seeing a difference of a lead, which, honestly, for Cleveland, that's not... I wouldn't say an amazing win. You picked the Karma and the Varus. You wanted to almost dominate this lane, but Drury have done a pretty good job of nullifying a lot of what the early game could have been.
Well, with the second dragon spawned on the map, Kha'Zix is going to head down there with his Wukong ultimate ready. But we're talking about Drury University. Kaiser, level 9 on the Jax, an entire level up. He's got his Trinity Force completed. Feel like there's a lot of priority for the Panthers around this next objective.
And I think they set up very well for it, right? The dragon is quite important. You go ahead and grab that for yourself. It is an ocean, so it does give you a little bit of agency. And then, of course, it is going to be that chem tech, giving a little bit of a boon to the late game team fighting that can come out. Not only that, you get the extra boost on the plants. All of a sudden, you got healing out the wazoo. And she's just kind of sitting here like, dang, I really wish I'd been able to use that package around that fight. But instead, you might just have to use it on the top lane. Everyone's rotating up there, at least 3 of Cleveland State.
Quick Slice does have Ghost, but no ultimate. Special delivery. It's got Quick Slice's name on it. Shoes takes a turret shot. They got to get the wave shoved in. This is going to give Kaiser to respond to the play. It's looking like a 3v2 tower dive. Arrow connects there onto Kaizix.
Oh, no.
Jason not going down quite yet. There we go. Orion has roamed up. Damage coming in. Kaizix the ultimate. Boom goes the dynamite. Orion gets a kill on the roam. The plan from Cleveland State backfires completely, and they lose 3 members. Rift Herald is on the map orbital. The Panthers are on the prowl.
What did I say, Mac? I said indecision. I wanted to see confidence from Cleveland. They had the package. They had everything. They had to know Drury was coming. If they had pulled the trigger a bit faster, I think it would have been much better, even if the wave wasn't perfectly there. You're high level. You already have the HP to tank 2 shots at least. Instead, they let it flub. They let the rest of the team come by. They got no kills out of that. And everything now in Drury's pocket. That gold lead expanding in a massive inflation move.
Wow, huge play there. Reading the map, Drury able to respond. Isaac's going to try to get a little bit of farm, but we're talking about a 40 CS difference between the junglers. Now the ADC's going at it. Arrow's going to deal a whole lot of damage, but the auto attack trade, gets the 1-for-1.
You'll take it. You knew you're in a rough spot. There wasn't that much to do. You didn't lose any summoners either. Keep that in mind. Still has flash and cleanse. Scrub McLord had to burn their own flash, so you know what? You'll take that. You didn't even lose that many plates on the tower either, so it's what 300 gold traded between the two? Not the worst thing in the world.
Hashtag worth?
I wouldn't say worth. I wouldn't say worth. I'd say the better of what 2 deals could have been.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, we've got a little bit of a Lou in the game. Quick Slice did pick up the Rift Herald, so Drury have that in their back pocket to keep their foot on the gas pedal. Kaiser goes in. Arrow misses, but the Counter-Strike connects. Ultimate comes out. Kaiser trying to take down Shoes, but the Corki survives. The True Shot Barrage plus Quick Slice coming in with the ultimate is going to be enough, but the kills are traded, and here comes Jason. It's another 1-for-1 orbital.
Oh no, it's still going. Orion's caught.
Orion gonna be able to pick up the kill with his ultimate. Jason, though, Scrub McLord getting low, and he's taken down.
Okay.
Cleveland State are able to get the shutdown. A little bit of gold comes back, but it is disaster in the mid lane, but so much damage from Aqualad. This is an AP Karma, quote-unquote support, is gonna make it a 4-for-3 trade.
You know what? That... For Cleveland, you're just happy you got some kills, right? Let's be honest, they were not in a good state, and the fact they were able to get... Oh, wait, no!
Whoa!
No! You thought you had it, but so strong. You know the danger.
Unbelievable. How many times are they going to come up to this Ezreal, man? The W damage is just absurd. They're sleeping on him. 2, 1, and 5. Holding his own, and it's a lot of gold going the way of Drury. They're up 4,000. Dragon, next one, spawns in 5 minutes. Or, sorry, 50 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland were just... I don't think they wanted to force that fight. Obviously, Drury were the ones that started it, but Cleveland felt that they could keep rolling through it. They had to make something happen, and Drury was just like, okay, we'll keep picking it up. Granted, a shutdown did go the way of Jason, so Jason's a little bit back in the game. Already has that pure MR item, has that extra shield behind it, so that is going to help for the next Dragon, but how much do you want to actually expend, right? It's a chem tech. It's not the worst one in the world to give up. You don't really have control over your own jungle side, so Cleveland, I think, are going to give this one up, try and get a bit more farm. And Shoes, who we were talking up, right? right on this Corky. Had a fantastic time in their previous series. This time around, 0-3-1 has yet to really hit those power spikes that we really want to see.
Yeah, the gold is in just all the right places for Drury. I mean, all of their carries are doing fantastic, and even the CS numbers are great. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Aqualad trying to answer back with the dragon play, able to take down the mid laner in the side lane. Drury, though, pick up the dragon. Good. We're talking about that decisiveness, that playmaking. Aqualad, somebody's got to do it on the side of Cleveland State and leave it up to the Karma support. He's flashing in, getting kills.
I was sitting there wondering what was going on. Shoes had not hit that pink ward for, I think, a good 15 seconds. I was just like, okay, this is a bit silly. Maybe stunting on him, but that gives enough time for the rest of the team of Drury to now rotate towards his bot lane. Yes, you killed that mid laner, but you lose so much on the other side. I think they're going to try for this Cleveland in a state of a little bit desperation.
We've got 4 members. Teleport coming in. That's from Shoes. It's a 4v5. Orion's going to teleport, but it's a little late. Package coming in. Special delivery for Drury. Lot of damage. There goes Fat Cat barely alive. Going to be able to walk out. And that's a 2-for-nothing trade. Cleveland State respond on the bottom side of the map. Say, hey, you're not going to get that turret for free.
I think that was very, very well played. Baiting in Drury, saying, hey, we're going to try and take this desperate fight. And Jason, this time around, with that shutdown, was able to kind of bully through the likes of Orion and Quick Slice, and that was the main turning point, right? Able to bait for the rest of Cleveland State to come in. They knew they had the package behind, used very efficiently. Yes, it wasn't 3 or 4 kills, but it's enough to get something back. You were talking about that gold difference, right, Mac? You were saying the 4K difference. Right now, that 3 to 4K difference has not changed at all since about 15 minutes into the game. And as we always like to say, the longer the game goes on, the less the gold actually matters.
Exactly. I wonder right now if Drury's going to be able to take care of business when it comes to Bear and Nasher. They've got a little bit of an item advantage. We got 2 items onto Quick Slice. Kaiser's trying to work towards his second item on Jax. You've got Orion, 2 items on the way. A lot of power spikes coming through. They've still got the slight advantage, but again, we can look at the numbers as much as you want, but when it comes to the execution of this game, it's going to come down to the details. The ADCs are about even. Quick Slice, a 2,000 gold lead on the top side of the map for Drury. This is their shot caller, Orbital. This is their leader in game, trying to guide them. He's got a lot of power in this one. And if Drury are going to try to look to go for the distance this season, they're going to try to turn things around. It's going to be on Quick Slice. And we're going to see in this game, can he do it in these close matches?
You know what? I think he can. Right? They have the tools currently in the pocket. I think they have what they want. Really, it's just in the few stages we saw Orion and kind of step up a little bit too far, and Jason's been playing a wonderful bait piece. I think if Drury kind of put their heads down and say, hey, only around objectives are we really going to give this power over. This is the only time we're really going to start kind of putting ourselves in dangerous spots. Honestly, if Drury play front to back, I think they have it, right? Like, they don't have to force anything in these 1v1s. Even that MR is not going to do anything. Look at that, Jason getting shredded right now.
He's got red buff. He's going to get slowed down. Ultimate is used. It looks like the CC barely affected him. Quick Slice is just going to keep running him down. Meanwhile, the Panthers looking for more plays on other places of the map. Jason forced to use his flash. Bit of a engage tool taken away from CSU. Arrow connects. Scrub McLord low, flashes away from Hawaii's Q. Orion trying to find it, can't quite get it. True Shot Barrage goes a little left, but do they potentially look for an objective here? It's funny, I feel like both teams, oh my god, Orion from downtown takes down Scrub McLord, and that's just going to open things completely.
We did say that play, if given the chance, will be oppressive, will be an annoyance, will be disgustingly overwhelming in scenarios. We saw it in their previous years, and they're doing it here again. The loss of both Flash and Cleanse left Scrub McLord in dire straits. So well played to Drury. They're given their just rewards here. They don't even need any major help from their Gwen. They can go ahead, pressure up the lanes if they wish, get everyone ready for the next dragon in 30 seconds.
Look at that. We were talking about the 3K gold lead. It's about doubled since then in just a few short moments. Drury University look to take control of this game. Now for Cleveland State, early on, we saw around the dragon. Are they going to try to force this objective? It's very tricky shot calling here. Big true shot barrage. Kaiser gets an engage. Scrub McLord is immediately taken down. Kaizix follows as well. It's a double kill
Jason,
for Quick Slice.
TP.
Jason is a tree all alone in the river. And I don't know if Cleveland State knows if he makes a sound when he falls down there. Drury University now pushing with Baron in the mid lane.
I mean, the rest of the forest left before him. He was just the last one to fall. I mean, at that point, it was a bad take on a desperate play. It was well played by Drury, but Cleveland, they didn't really have any options, so I grant them that. They had to try for a fight. It did not work. They lose their inhib, but this is still early on, 24 and a half minutes in. Cleveland are now coming off of a cooldown death timer, so, you know, you can still fight, but honestly, that fight hurt. Right, you were trying to set up a bait on your own. It did not work. Drury read it loud and clear because Quick Slice was on the side, knew that a squishy was just on the back line. Beautiful engagement. Kaiser grants them this dragon, and that's multiple buffs now in their control. They are now on soul point, just about everything in their hand at this point. Unless they walk in one by one, I don't see Drury losing this this next part of the game.
And look, Shoes with the package, unable to use it there. I think it might just time out unless they try to look for something. And again, it's Cleveland State trying to look for something in the mid game and things not going quite according to plan. Quick Slice now on 3 items. Orion is mighty close to finishing that Rabadon's death cap, and everything is kind of coming together for this Drury Panthers squad. We'll have to see Quick Slice teleport available. He's going to be sent to the top side of the map to try and cash in on some of that gold. And for Drury, let's see, Orbital, are they going to be able to, with so much control in this game, are they going to be able to cleanly close things out against Cleveland State?
I think they can if they play it smart, right? We saw them get a little bit antsy, bite off a bit more that they can shoot earlier on. That actually, I think, led to them losing about 6 kills in a row. That was kind of rough. But Quick Slice is doing the Quick Slice thing, right? Go ahead and split push.
Quick
Have
Slice
a couple Baron pieces. Yeah, Quick Slice through the towers, and all of a sudden you have a 1-1-3, which is perfect. Jason has to try and hold, and I mean, this is how you play this composition, right? Drury had the backup with Kaiser on the bot side. Their safety net is in order, and Cleveland are pulled in just about every single different direction.
Feels like there's a lot of moves on the chessboard, but a lot of them end in checkmate potentially. Whole lot of poke damage coming out of Yuno. Quick Slice makes quick work of the inhibitor turret on the top side, taking a whole lot of poke damage from Shoes. But again, no package. It did fade away as the rest of the Panthers cash in on the bottom side of the map. They take that inhibitor there. The last one on the top, handy, leaving on with a sliver of HP. We'll see the rest of the Panthers rotate on over.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to go anywhere, right? This feels like the closing remarks. Quick Slice is going to TP back in, but that's the inhibitor down, and I mean, do they just really wait? Take a look. Quick Slice is like, where do you guys want me to TP? Where do you want me to stay? And the rest of the team's like, okay, we don't really have to force. If we want this week 1 to go well, we need to show restraint. Granted, I'm pretty sure they could steamroll over a fight. I don't think a package is up, so I really don't think they have anything to worry about. Yet, I do respect the need to play everything by the book. Don't lose this game that has felt like it's been in your control. It's about minute 5.
Exactly. You've got, I mean, hey, big items on Aqualad on the Karma. He's got 2 completed AP items. Is going to be dishing out a lot of damage. Isaacs has got 2 items. Jason's got 2 items. So if there were to be a standoff in this game, you would kind of think Cleveland State, this is going to be the best position they're possibly going to be in. A few more stacks of the Manamune will get Scrub Lord all Muramana'd up, but I mean, talking about power spikes, we're talking about item 2 power spikes for CSU. Drury's on their 3rd item spikes, and here comes Orion with the Rabadon's death cap ready. I'm worried these HPs are gonna get melted too quickly for old Mac here to notice where the damage is coming from. It's a lot of poke, a lot of CC. Here comes the final push orbital as the super minions come crashing in. Kha'Zix has to flash away. Twisted Advantage, Nature's Grasp coming in. Jason trying to lock everybody down, but the Drury Panthers are not getting stopped yet. Quick Slice with a double kill. Kha'Zix trying to re-engage to defend the base. Shoes trying his all, but the minions are crashing in. Orion, Fat Cat, Quick Slice, finish it off. The top lane triple kill to finish off game number 1.
I mean, we discussed it, right, Mac? We said that things were going to get a little bit messy if Drury were allowed to pressure forward, and we said we need to see confidence from this composition. It was a very safe composition. It's we don't want to fight too close, and that breeds indecisiveness. That breeds a little bit of too much of a defensive posture, right? And I think that's what happened. That top lane dive, it was the right idea. I think that top lane dive was the right idea, but they waited too long. They said, we need that. You don't need it if you had the package. You burned them so quickly. I think if you had pulled the trigger, it would have felt a lot better. Needless to say, rough game 1, but Drury played it pretty dang well.
That was the exact moment that stood out in my mind as well. Orbital kind of encapsulated the game and kind of the vibes as a whole. In Drury, I want to give credit to Kaiser, who I think just pathed consistently so beautifully. It felt like at the right place at the right time for pretty much the entire game. So really solid kudos to him. So wow, what a game number 1, Orbital.
Yeah, Kaiser, the main job once you start seeing your solo lanes take off, bot lane, hey, had some, it was rough, which understandably, I mean, Scrubbing Lord was able to get a very nice lane matchup. But at that point, when the top and mid are winning, your job just kind of turns, and this is what a lot of people don't, I think, realize, is once you realize a lane is winning or multiple lanes are winning, your main job is basically don't put your team in a worse deficit. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be forcing plays. The job was to track the jungler at that point. Track Kha'Zix. Hey, where is Kha'Zix? Is Kha'Zix going to jump to the top side? Is Kha'Zix going to go mid? As long as you have eyes there, it enables the rest of your laners to power on through, and that's exactly what Orion, as well as that top side, just happened to roll into. Very well done from everyone on Drury's side.
A thought I'm having right now, talking about how well they are able to do that. I wonder how many hawk shots we missed of Fat Cat getting information on the Ashe. Like, I wonder how big of that was a contributing factor in their clean early game. But hey, Drury Panthers taking game number 1 over CSU. But keep in mind, it is a best of 3 series, so we've got more action coming your way. Curious though, with esports events like this, Hyper and Orbital, have you guys ever wondered what goes into running an esports event? Between your team helping run the event and the audience that are attending the event, the people are the first thing you have to consider when setting up an event. If you want to learn more about how people power an esports event and more, for all my people in chat, type !top 5 in the chat and check out our article, What It Takes, Top 5 Things Powering Esports Events. With that being said, we're going to hop into a quick break, but don't click out of that browser just yet. Game number 2 of this best of 3 series is coming up in just a bit.
We are here at the MEC Fall Championship. It's Kendo Slice, and I am talking with my friend from Cleveland State University. He is Fode, the Valorant team. If I remember right, it was the third team all MEC, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, the question is, what does esports mean to you?
Esports to me is really a communal thing.
Yeah.
At Cleveland State, especially this semester, our Valorant team has become like very integrated on campus.
Yes.
Even with like the other teams, like some of the Smash Bros players or some of the Overwatch players, like we'll find them in like the gym or something, and we'll all play basketball. And it's been a great semester of just like a community, really. On top of just like what esports is in general as like a competition.
I like that. Of course, with esports in the collegiate realm, we are talking about scholastics a little bit. So there is a learning process here. And I have to ask, if over the last 3 months or so in this semester, is there something that stands out that you've learned, whether it be about your team, whether it be about yourself, maybe in the classroom even?
Yeah, in the past 3 months, I feel like I've learned a ton within the game, especially. I feel like I've truly improved a lot, as well as the team. Like last semester, we were like leagues better than we were the semester before, and this semester it's the same thing. We're all improving. We've got a few new players that have come in, and even like next year there's a few new recruits that might even level that up more. But like playing more with higher level players and some high level coaches has just improved us tremendously.
How does that translate to LAN environment? Because opportunities like this one don't come along every day. Have you enjoyed your time with LAN?
The LAN has been great. The first LAN I ever played was a few weeks ago. We had Baldwin Wallace come in and play against us at our facility. And so coming from that into this and seeing like the entire setup with all these teams, it's just been really cool to like get that experience playing against people that like you can see like just across the stage and then talk to them after.
So I
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2024 MEC CLOL season. We're hopping right back into our Monday night series. To finish off the week, it's Cleveland State taking on Drury University, and the Panthers picking up the win in game number 1. And honestly, like, it was close to 30 minutes, but the Panthers were controlling that game, especially in the mid-game. Getting Baron Nasher cleanly closing that one out.
There were many points that I felt Drury were just playing it nice and slow, right? That was, a lot of other people would have been like, pick up the pace, get the win, push in. There were multiple times I felt, no. You want to make sure. It was basically the tying up of loose ends. And it all goes back to that draft. It felt like Drury had a much stronger draft overall. They got the Jax early. They said, hey, we're going to go ahead and flex that one. And then the Gwen counter pick at the end was able to kind of catch the likes of Cleveland State a little bit off guard. And I mean, for their worth, CSU did what they had to. They tried to make plays where they could. The top lane, you can't really dive a Gwen, but I mean, what other choice do you have? You had the package, you didn't have any other routes to go with. I get it. I understand it. It just felt like from very early on, they were pressured into situations where you were in trouble if you did and in trouble if you don't, and there is no good answer. And that is something that I want to see them remedy here in game number 2.
Yeah, especially with Kaiser, no matter what it felt like Kaizix did on the map. Kaiser was kind of playing that yin and yang matchup where like, hey, if you're going to be over here, I'm going to be on the opposite side trying to make plays happen in response. So it was a lot of trading that I felt like eventually snowballed into Drury really kind of controlling things and taking the fights a lot of the times on their terms. But we saw some glimpses of CSU catching Drury off guard in certain situations. A few solid engages from Shoes with the package, but it didn't kind of cement itself to form really a foundation for a strong mid game as the Panthers, I think especially on the weak side of the map, quick slice, creating a lot of situations where CSU felt like they couldn't get that grouped 5v5 fight that they really wanted.
You're always hunting to make sure that Quick Slice is not like at a bad moment. Because if you take a look at the bot lane, I think the bot lane, while I think Drury was actually pushing for tower, was one of the best situations of you can actually bait Drury in, right? That was the one time that I think we saw, I think it was like 2 or 3 kills go down. And the only thing that CSU dropped was their tower. It was, hey, we can slow roll this site if we pick them off. You know, it was Jason going in, kind of catching the rest of Drury off guard. And that was one of those moments of, hey, we can actually take these fights if we scatter them, if we have information. But that was the problem, right? The rest of the time you didn't have information. You didn't know where the Gwen was. You didn't know where the Jax was. And that was just very well played from Drury's side. A lot of the time, you know, we were hammering on the likes of CSU, but this was not CSU just fumbling everything that came their way. There was never really a fumble because they never had the football in the first place. Everything felt like it was Drury's to either give or take away.
Yep. And I think for Drury, this is all according to plan. Yep. This is how Fat Cat kind of envisioned the series going, or at least how he hoped it would go. He was telling me earlier, hey, Mac, I think we have a shot here to open things up in the top lane and maybe the jungle as well. So I'm curious, Cleveland State, game number 2, do you go back, give Kaizix maybe some more aggressive early game options? The Wukong, not something, let me get a little bit more centered here, there we go. The Wukong, not the best at making early game plays happen. And something I was a really big fan of was Kaizix on the Viego running bot level 3. I mean, straight like blue, grump, red. I'm going straight bot, like trying to maybe get some of those plays happening more. But I think considering the draft and what Drury wanted to do, I mean, they made sure that their bot lane was kind of untouchable.
And looking at this point, CSU, they got almost triple banned into that ADC role, a very heavy target into Scrub McLord, and Scrub was not allowed to kind of play the game that they wanted. So if we see that here again, that'll be a big question mark. But for CSU, you now have the counter pick advantage, right? You now get to say, hey, both in 3rd as well as 5th position, you can go ahead and try and gather up that extra kind of pick factor. At this moment, though, I'm not sure if you really want to focus on the top or mid. I think, though, you do want to take away mid lane, right?
Yeah.
Shoes, as you said, Corki can do a lot of work, but that Hui was a problem, a massive problem. So if you're able to change one out, you, I think, need to deal with that Hui. You need to either take it away, you need to ban it out, or have a ready answer, which I don't even know the answer to. I just banned him away in my solo queue game, so I just don't want to deal with him.
Let's see if CSU agrees. So far, Orbital, exact same bans as game number 1. Drury, again, wanting to limit the amount of aggression coming out of the CSU bot lane, and so far that strategy has really been successful. I wonder if there's any other ADC options out there to really go for that similar strategy. But I know Draven, as you mentioned, Orbital, really strong with that lethality. I know I'm thinking about other early game ADCs. Kai'Sa comes to mind, but she's not like super lethality focused, and so that makes it a little bit harder. I wonder if Aquachad, we've seen the Braum from him, we've seen Melio, and now we've seen Karma, which doesn't really scream super aggressive bot lane for me. So I wonder if they're going to make some shifts here in the support role to get Aquachad some more priority in the game and get another engager involved, right? Because Jason, if he's off in the solo lanes, it leaves the rest of the team wondering maybe, how are we going to engage these fights? You don't want Corki running it down straight into everyone. So I wonder if they're going to make an adjustment there and give Aquachad something a bit more aggressive. Of course, it's going to be difficult to play aggressively into the likes of Ezreal.
Yeah, this we touched on right? Did what is supposed to do on an Ezreal, which is stay alive, don't do anything crazy. I think there was only one time that you really went ham, and in that bot lane, I think CSU, they don't feel undeterred, right? Granted, it didn't feel as overwhelming as they would have liked, but it didn't play bad. It didn't play horribly, so run it back. Go ahead. Both teams have opted for it. We also got the same ban, so I'm really scared to say that we're going to have like a media. Yeah, this is, I really hope Shoes has a different answer because...
Don't do it. That's production. I think that's a bait.
I
that was
don't
too fast.
Want to see. Yeah, I know, right? I don't want to see Corki again. I have personal vendetta against Corki, but at the same time, the Corki just did not have the agency. If you lock in the Corki here, this is almost crying for Kha'Zix, and this might be the one. Please lock that in. Please make me happy. Yes! There we go! Yes!
Wow! CSU responded in a big way here before the second ban phase. Yone gets locked in.
You know what? I can dig it. And understandably, remember, Yone can flex to the top lane. I get that. I don't expect it to go to Jason. Jason feels a lot more like a weak side king. Play the tanks, play a little bit safety, and even if you lose, you win. I feel this is a mid lane, and I love the fact that CSU are doing this because this is still week 1, right? At the end of the day, this is week 1. The score matters, but it's not as impactful. You don't have that weight of pressure on you to say, hey, hit that playoff game or anything. If you need to, build confidence. Take this game and run it. Have a lot of fun. Go crazy. See if you can win. If that's true, that's great. For right now, though, I still really like this matchup. I like the idea of bullying out the bullier in the new age way. Take the I call old school, Yone to take him to town.
As we make our way through the second phase of bans, junglers appear to be the name of the game. Lilia, Jax, Xin Zhao banned away. Of course, some flexible options in the new season. A lot of people are having an okay time jungling. Ornn also going to hit the ban list, and our alleged weak side king, or maybe Kha'Zix, is going to be picking up the Gwen.
Okay, this is a chair. I need my notebook. I tossed my notebook somewhere. There we go. I tossed my notebook because I saw this before. You're playing the Gragas before in your week 1 matchup, and you tried to get a little bit fancy with it. Obviously, it didn't work out exactly like you wanted. But it's a testing phase, and I like this. CSU are building a composition that says we have to go in, we have to make these plays, and this is. Yep. I said it in game 1. I want to see them be aggressive. This one requires aggression. This one requires them. This is the Ivern coming out from Kaiser. Okay, okay, I see you, and then the Jace on the. You know what? Go have fun. This is both teams, both Drury and Cleveland State, saying we're gonna have some fun here.
Oh my gosh, Sejuani as the last pick in Orbital. Our compositions are set for what seems to be like a very exciting second match. Drury, extremely long range between the Ashe and the Hui and the Jace. They're going to be firing from long range. Meanwhile, CSU, I think, has a bit of a mixed bag in terms of range. You do have the Varus. This is so different from game number 1, even though we saw the first couple of picks unfold in a very similar manner. The second half of this draft just blew game 1 out of the water.
I gave up, my hair gave up, everything gave up, because this game is going to be very entertaining. CSU, again, my main thing was you need to be proactive. You need to basically just say, if we're going to make a play, we got to make a play. We can't give time, because here's the thing. Whenever it comes to these team-based moments, which obviously League is all about the team, you have to be willing to pull that trigger. We see some of the best teams in the world. The reason they're so good is they're so used to when a call is made, you make the play. That's all you're going to do. This is a composition that does it. You have a Yone. You cannot be hesitating. If you hesitate, you lose the whole value of Yone. If you have a Sejuani, you better be ready to pull that trigger. The Glacial Prison comes down. Lock that person up. Run down that opponent. You have to be willing to follow up. If there is hesitation, it is going to make me sad. For Drury, it's all about the defensive play and the long-range sieging. I love this composition. It still leans into that factor of playing off the way, with still some lane domination. Jace being an early game aggressor. If the Jace and the Gwen get into a mess up, either one can take control of that top lane.
Yeah. I don't know if I've got any Sekiro stands in the chat, but it feels appropriate with Yone that for this game, for CSU, hesitation is defeat, potentially, with this composition. So we'll see how this one unfolds. I feel like we haven't touched on the Vern as much as we maybe should, but we'll have to see from the start of the game. It's going to be interesting to see as we hop in. Summoners, welcome onto the Rift for game number 2 of our best of 3 series. Drury University looking to start season 2024 off with a 2-0 hanger, week number 1. So we'll have to see how that goes as CSU look to come back. We head into a pause. I was so ready. Come on, I did my intro. You're stuck with us. Welcome back to the caster booth, everybody. As we get a moment to let this one marinate.
Yeah, I mean, I get to marinate on my bad calls in the previous game. You know, my terrible, dive the Gwen. It's okay. Don't worry. I think Travis C called me out on that one. That was pretty fun. There's a lot of factors to this, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into it, right? We take a look at the fact we didn't even touch on the bot lane, because honestly, bot lane is going to be bot lane, right? As long as the likes of the Ezreal and the Ashe can nullify, as long as they can play even, I think you've won. At that point, you're doing okay. That's the whole reason you picked the Ezreal. So that's why I didn't touch on it. You wanted to mention the Ivern, and this Ivern, I think, does the exact same thing that the Jax did in game number 1. However, now you don't really have a choice. Ivern got changed in a big way. Recently, I don't even want to say recently, it was like a couple patches ago, right? This is Ivern now full long range. There is no melee range Ivern. And in that same value, you buff a little bit of the AP values. You can still go support Ivern, but it's all about the range. In this same sequence, you are now the setup. You can now play pretty much from decent range this shielder for your mid and top laner. And this also gives you not only 2 things. It's number 1, shield. So if any engage comes your way, you're still going to be able to body block. Number 2, Daisy's going to be a really nice pseudo tank. And the reason for that is you don't really have a front line. You look at the entire composition, there is no one that's going to front line. The most that you're going to have is a really scary Jace that hopefully is going to blow up one person very quickly. And you're like, yeah, that's my job. I'm not a tank. I just hope to beat them before they beat me, right? Yeah. So the Daisy doubles in 2 respects. So I really like the pickup. I also have just not seen that much Ivern in my lifetime, and I haven't seen it in this type of composition, so hopefully Kaiser is just gonna give me a good show.
I don't know if we have any MEC historians, but I wonder if this is one of the only games we've seen Ivern. I don't think it was picked at all last season.
So someone's gonna yell at us. I 100% know someone's gonna yell at us.
I maybe have a vision of like a Dunkmaster Ivern game or something. We'll have to go back and check the history tapes, but regardless, I believe it's the first time it's been locked in to start this season, so we'll see how this one goes. Orbital,
before we go further, Mac, I just want to point out, Kaiser went the aggressive start, the aggressive jungle. It's a red egg, meaning you are actually actively looking to fight. You are actively looking to be a bully and a nuisance. I love it.
And Sejuani not the best at dealing with early invades. So Kaiser, let's see the creativity. We've got some solid defensive warding by Cleveland State there on the top side of the map. By the Raptors and red buff, they potentially will see Kaiser coming, but again, Sejuani not the strongest in the early game. Kaiser, I believe, has an opportunity early on to carve out a slight advantage.
And with the level 2 on the bot side as well, you're just kind of running everyone out and around. There goes the Hawk shot that we were talking about. I'm going to try and keep track of him. Fat Cat did a lot of work, and I think you just pinged over. Yeah, you just saw Kha'Zix, and I mean, that's fine. Right now, you know all the information, and this is the same thing. Again, Drury are just like, keep eyes on Kha'Zix. As long as we know where Kha'Zix is, we get free reign on Quick Slice and Orion. You can do whatever you want. Hopefully, we get a pan over on Shoes, who I'm really interested to see if they can play very well, or if things are going to kind of get away from them with this kind of aggressive pick.
Yeah, this is not something we've seen from Shoes throughout the start of this season. And honestly, after, I think, a disappointing game number 1, It's interesting to put your veteran presence on a pick like this. He does take the tower shot. Orion gonna be tested in the second game. The rookie on the Panthers coming in to the mid lane, filling in the gap from the killer guy, hoping to help propel this Drury Panthers team to new heights. As Kaizik's looking on the top side of the map, Quick Slice potentially in trouble. Gonna do some dodging, trying to knock away the stun, the ghost. Jason trying to get in. Here comes Kaiser with a slight level lead. Quick Slice able to stay back. The cannon is firing. Kaizik's running away. Jason still full health. Doing some slicing he learned from game number 1. Quick Slice gets a little bit taste of his own medicine as the Panthers have to back off in the top.
Yeah, that fully stacked Conqueror can do some work. I mean, Quick Slice and Kaiser realize they don't really have the tank factor or the tank value behind them. And Quick Slice was also out of mana, so you don't really get a spell reel. And if I want to say if Quick Slice was allowed to spell reel, I think that would have been a whole different story on that second rotation. But well done by Kaizix and Jason, right? Technically, I think you won out in that end. I think I lie now, though, because Jason did have to expend the Ghost and Kaizix did have to burn that Flash. Quick Slice still has the Flash in pocket. So, you know, value-wise, I don't think it's perfect, but mid lane is also interesting in its own right.
But I will say to that point, Orbital, again, CSU, I think, is showing throughout the start of this season that they're not going to just stick with the exact same strategy between games. We're seeing Kaizix get aggressive earlier on this time, which I think was a bit of a struggle last game, and they even switched up Jason, who'd been playing Gragas, playing Ornn, playing the Maokai. You're getting him on maybe something he can contest Quick Slice with a little bit better here. Picking up this wave as much as he can is going to be big.
I mean, yes, that's true, but Quick Slice is still building up a heavy CS lead, and so that's going to be its own question, right? This is a lane that we got to watch. I think maybe another 5 minutes down the road. I think Quick Slice has played it very well in that essence. Tower shot goes down. But I'm also interested to see how the grubs turn out, right? In the early stages, we actually saw the grubs be taken, I think, extremely quickly. Ed, and Eddie did not have a good time in game number 1. This time around, it's a much slower pace, right? You can see the cautious warding coming out of Kaizix and Aqua Chad. So it's a lot safer option. This time they do pick it up, kind of in the face, but a lot more help for the first time around.
Yeah, I mean, Aqualad rotating up early on. Kaiser, Smite coming up. He's going to get some vision, but the Karma's here to dish out a lot of damage. He's not going to be able to answer. Meanwhile, Drury trying to fight back and get some turret plates onto the bottom side of the map. That's all they're going to be able to hope to trade in. Now there's quite a bit of pressure on Drury to potentially respond. It is notable the 5 mark and the 6 stack mark for grubs to get those Void Mites spawning. Cleveland State, they get all 3 early on, and hey, they got a lot of priority on that top side.
And it feels good. At the same time, if you're not the one fully pressuring, you're not going to get as much as you would like out of it, right? Like, you got to be the one hard pressing in to get a lot of value. And as you said, for CSU, it really is only that top lane that's kind of going in their direction. Mid lane is a whole different story than game 1. Orion not able to get a full CS lead. It's even, but I mean, we still haven't seen Shoes really step out and around. I think the plates are still the same. So honestly, Orion doing the same thing, nullifying a lot of aggression, but top lane Quick Slice getting some good dances out.
Jason pops the ultimate, but here comes the Jace damage on the return. He's getting his cooldowns back up and switching between forms. He's able to dish out a lot of damage with those abilities. Jason, only the Ruby Crystal, forced to back away, does have teleport. Gonna be able to come back to the lane. Meanwhile, Kaiser on the Vern, maybe gonna make a play happen, but hey, Shoes, he's chilling. He can just go back to his form. Not a worry in the world. Meanwhile, Isaac starting up the Dragon.
This is actually really, really good. Cleveland State, this time around, I said they want to be, I want to see them more proactive, a lot more concise in their calls. This is dangerous, right? It's still dangerous. You know the likes of Kaiser was kind of roaming around, could look for a steal. At the same time, it's a lot more decisive. You're saying, hey, Shoes and Orion are kind of fighting in the mid lane. It's not exactly fully won, but that's going to be a flash out.
Aqualad's here to help. The root there onto Orion. He wasn't expecting the assistance, and it's first blood for the veteran in the mid lane. Shoes gets the kill.
Well done, well played. Cleveland State created an opportunity for Shoes to have a little bit more value in Orion. It was an aggressive flash, right? Very aggressive towards the side, did not flash back towards the tower, was hoping for a kill spot. But as you said, Aqualad came up and around, said, hey, I'm here to shield. You get the kill. Not just that, Kha'Zix on the dragon, giving a high opportunity. Also on the second Drake now, it's going to be Infernal. It's going to be a nice one to pick up. A little extra damage in your back pocket. So far, Cleveland State in the lead. I want to see them try and expand on this lead now. Uh-oh.
Kaiser looking for a play on the top side of the map. Quick Slice talking about the focal point for this Panthers team. Daisy's going to come help out and secure this kill. No Ghost, no Summoner spells. Jason, I think, is going down. Quick Slice gets the gold really right where the Panthers want it for their stud in the top. Jason, still with teleport available, is going to be able to join that top lane back up there relatively quickly. Won't lose too much CS.
How many times can I be wrong, Mac? Like, geez, I talked about, earlier states, hey, maybe Drury could come out with something, and then they lose out on the dragon and all, and then now on the top side, Quick Slice gets a kill back after I said, like, Jason can maybe get a little bit of lead with the rest of Cleveland State. Like, geez, maybe I'm not fit to be here. I don't know. But Drury right now, just like, okay, we're getting things kind of back under control. It's not the worst thing in the world, obviously. Those objectives went the way of Cleveland State. You're still okay in gold, right? Gold is actually not even or in the lead for Drury, so not the worst place to be in. It just feels a little bit bad losing those global objectives.
It does, and Grub Lord's going to be coming back up in just a little bit. We'll have to keep a close eye. Once again, Shoes and Aqualad teaming up. Kha'Zix here as well. Orion, no flash, no escape. Arrow's going to come out, try to save the mid laner. He's got that additional move speed, but more ultimates come in. 4 members of Cleveland State take care of business.
I love it. What did I say, Mac? This time I am right. What did I say about this composition? I wanted to see them be decisive. That was completely unnecessary, by the way. That was over-aggressive. That was ridiculous. But it was needed. They get another kill. No one died on their end, and now they have everyone. Now they're trying to get even more.
Fat Cat, gotta be careful about the positioning. It's a 4v3 as Orion tries to run up and join the fight back. Quick Slice trying to make a big play happen in this early game. Cannon activated, Root comes through, but Shoes is dealing a whole lot of damage. Daisy, that important 4th member, evening up this fight in Orbital. I wonder if this is going to be an opportunity to Drury striking back, taking the grubs, and limiting CSU's early game advantage.
I mean, they got a good play in the mid lane. They knew that they expended everything, though, and they still went for the grubs. They still said, I mean, I felt that was a little bit greedy there. Like, you have a lot down, and I understand pushing. I like the aggression. Maybe that was a bit too over-aggressive. I don't know. Now I'm talking out my butt. Don't listen to me. Still, as you said, Drury are allowed to pick up their grubs, and Cleveland State are going to try and work their way into a little bit better value. However, this last grub could be theirs. We'll see if it's taken. Shoes once more.
Kha'Zix has Smite, Grub getting low, so is Quick Slice. There's the kill. Shoes answers back. Kha'Zix not focusing the objective. He wants the blood, he wants the kills, he wants to chop down the tree and let Kaiser know how it feels in this match. Orion unable to support. Kaiser trying to get out, getting a little bit of heal in. Hey, there we go. The last Grub still standing. And I think Drury's going to be forced to give it away. Overall, I believe it was just a 1-for-1 trade in terms of kills.
1-for-1. They got 2 grubs on Drury's side, but remember, Cleveland got 3 earlier. Cleveland State got 3 earlier, and that puts them at 4, which is not bad. You said kind of that stopping point is 5 and 6. That's when you want to see that big jump. But let's talk about the difference of the 2 that have not left their lanes at all. Scrub McLord and Juno are still stuck in the spot lane. And honestly, the plates are going pretty much even. Scrub McLord has not been allowed to kind of lead this lane, be that annoyance that we saw in game number 1, when you rotated the bot lane towards mid and then up towards those grubs. So Cleveland State kind of locked into this do or die battle of the ADCs, whereas now we're also seeing that gold lead start to expand. Where we saw it even, it is now at about 600, leaning into Cleveland State's favor. And Jason, the primary shareholder in getting one of those kills earlier, is now just trying to keep their life above water. Just like,
Yeah.
please don't die to the Jace. Please don't die to the Jace.
Talking about potential X factors here in this game, Quick Slice, probably the strongest member on the side of the Panthers through this early game. Meanwhile, I think there's a lot to like if you're CSU. Scrub McLord, a level advantage on Uno. You've got Shoes, a level up on Orion. You've got your stars, your mid laner, and your ADC somewhat ahead. This is how I imagined you would have liked the early game to go so far. We'll have to see Shoes down here around the fight. Orion a little late on the rotation. This could be the fight for CSU to try to look. Isaac's dishing out a lot of damage. Chain of Corruption gets mitigated there. The Mikhails comes through. Orion with the big ultimate. So much range, so much damage. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow did miss. Drury Panthers gonna try to go for more Shoes. A big ultimate into the back line. Kaiser gets low. The fear comes through. Arrows trying to find their mark, but they can't just quite connect. Orbital. So many low health bars. Kaizix survives. Panthers, they smell blood. Orion gets one. Aqualad, Scrub McLord, that is a big shield down. They're gonna use the control ward bush to recall. I take a deep breath. I can't believe it was only one kill going over.
I mean, that was one of those moments. Again, Cleveland State, I felt like they had a good choke point. If they had pulled the trigger, maybe they could have gotten something, but they hesitated. They said, no, we don't want to fight this. We don't know where Orion is. But Orion was just over the wall, and I mean, you take out 3, Orion, yes, is doing okay, but not super strong just now. I feel that would have been perfect, but because they hesitated, they let themselves get caught out, and that led to the long range of Drury, the artillery just firing away. And now they're on the back foot, right? They lost a little bit of their momentum. They were even. They were neck and neck for a while, right? They were trading out, you know, a little bit of the global pressure for their own, you know, the dragons and such.
Yep.
And now they've fallen behind. Bot lane has fallen away. They now have to play catch up to the rest of this annoying squad that is by far and large going to be the most annoying factors to watch for. You cannot look at the composition of Drury and say, I can sit back and wait for them to come to me. They will never be in range unless you jump, flash, and ult. Like, they will never give you that time of day.
Well, Daisy comes out as the Rift Herald is started. Cleveland State try to respond with their second dragon of the game on the bottom side of the map. A lot of damage coming out of Orion, but Scrub McLord to be able to use the Yomu's Ghostblade to walk on out of their objectives while they remain neutral or traded across the map. Another, as you're thinking, Orbital Chemtech map for us here in game number 2. About a 1.5k gold lead for the Panthers as Orion, no flash, put in the prison.
Go.
Scrub McLord gonna cash in. You have to be worried about your low mobility mages sitting all by themselves without any protection in the side lanes.
You know what? You go ahead, Cleveland State, say, it's an opportunity, we gotta grab it, right? You have the CC, you have the ability, well played. Not only that, you now unlock one of your key players, right? Scrub McLord is now allowed to leave the bottom lane. Keep in mind, Yuno's been able to influence the rest of the map slightly, right? I would almost say indirectly with the True Shot Barrage, you're allowed to send it out. You know, from lane, you have some impact with the rest of the team. Scrub McLord is now allowed to roam out and be a little bit more aggressive for us. You can now stick with the rest of the team. You can actually play and try and catch some of his opponents out. And granted, in game number 1, the Chain of Corruptions was not that strong. We saw it used in a very defensive manner, didn't really land on priority targets. This time around, maybe you get to be the namesayer. Maybe you get to be the one to dictate where these fights actually occur.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I think the top laners shake hands. They say, "Do you want to rotate down bot? We'll do a bit more fighting down there." And Kaiser and Jason, or Quick Slice and Jason, shake hands. Say, "Yeah, I'll see you down there soon." As they meet each other on the rotation. No big neutral objectives for the next little bit, so we'll have to see if anybody gets caught out of position. But for the most part, Orbital, we gotta buckle in. Was that Fat Cat from mid lane? The snipe? That was unreal! Jason gets locked up and taken down. I was talking about people being out of position, but that didn't feel very out of position.
No, that was not. That was a forced error. That's what we call a forced error. That is what you love to see out of an Ashe support. Hey, go ahead, send a shot, see if we can bait him in. If it doesn't land, fine. If it does, great. You have just now, as Fat Cat handed Drury an extended lane. You now have Quick Slice getting back into momentum. 3-1-1. Has a 40 CS lead, which is something that we were waiting to see earlier, but Fat Cat is now in danger.
Retribution. It goes both ways. Fat Cat caught out. Didn't realize Kaizix was there. He didn't even use the global or the glacial prison. Scrub McLord, though, using the Chain of Corruptions to pick up that pick. So, hey, marksmen are using their ultimates and getting kills. You love to see it, as this game's just about even here at the 18.5-minute mark.
I would say the only leaning side is Cleveland State are currently sitting on that 2 Dragon point, right? At some point, Drury is going to have to start contesting for it, unless you're willing to give this Dragon up and maybe look for a Baron, but I just, obviously that doesn't feel like a viable source of entry. You don't really have like pure control over the side lanes either, so you can't leave a split pusher on that end. So I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of watching this side of Drury saying, what are you going to do? What are the Panthers going to do? Are they going to stalk their prey or try and hunt, a different side? Are they going to force the prey to come to them? There are so many different things to think about, but I mean, Dragon up in a minute and a half, I'll be very curious to see who does what, and with Fat Cat now having flash available, you can still make that arrow play like you did previously.
Oh my gosh, getting chunked out so much already at 50% HP. Is going to have to use some of those plants to heal up. Meanwhile, Chain of Corruption still catches the flash of Quick Slice. He gets caught in the side lane in Cleveland State. That is a huge pick, as Dragon about to spawn in a minute. Quick Slice does have teleport.
That lollipop on the end of that Chain of Corruption felt so bad, right? That is one that you just like, that feels unreal. You don't even get mid lane tower. You don't get anything. Drury just lose one. For Owen, you lose Dragon Pressure as well. Cleveland State, they get, I wouldn't say a miracle. That's not a miracle. That's just well played, well-timed collapse. And now you get to look at this Dragon. You have everything in your favor. Keep that in mind. Shoes has TP. Jason has TP. And Drury, I don't think, can fight this. Quick Slice is now coming back up, but you kind of lost control. You're even using TP just to get range, and that puts Fat Cat in a bad spot.
Has to flash away, and Cleveland State have found their footing in this series. Getting a lot of picks. Here comes Jason. Potential flank, maybe caught out. Daisy soaking up a large amount of damage. It's just going to be taken out before the Dragon spawns. Now 5 members of Drury University grouping in the mid lane around this objective. Engage comes in, Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Oh my gosh!
What do you do? So many ultimates used there just for the support. Aqualad gets taken down. Shoes is on the top side of the map. Here comes the poke damage from Quick Slice. Talking about the range advantage for Drury University around this objective. They're going to try to take advantage. Shoes is teleported in. He's looking for a flank around the bottom side. He can do it here. The Wombo combo coming in. He catches one. Kaiser goes down. Quick Slice and Orion, it's on you guys. The long-range damage dealer, Scrub McLord, is so low. Dragon gets aggroed back. Aqualad trying to join the fight once more. It's 5-on-4. Cleveland State has not lost a member, and it looks like the Panthers, they know CSU is not on Soul Point. They're just going to back off and push mid.
I mean, that was well played. Cleveland State, again, we talked about the fact that they kind of had to pull the trigger, and granted, Aquachad did not have a good time, right? That was just rude, whatever happened there. That was payback for payback. We saw Fat Cat get denied by Kaizix earlier, and that was just like repaying the debt at that point. But at the current moment, Cleveland State have done well. We saw the trigger being pulled, and that's the thing, right? Hey, even though it doesn't fully land, we can do some work. Scrublord is going to survive, but it's very, very close. Had to burn the cleanse. Drury, they're now getting to the spot where it feels a little bit more forced, right? They're not looking for optimal. They're looking for opportunistic moments.
Oh, I feel like we've got a much closer game on our hands compared to game number 1. The gold lead still neck and neck at 22 minutes. Some big item completions. I mean, everyone's kind of pace for pace, but Quick Slice, he's got 2, close to 3 items completed. He's got a low budget. Same with Kaiser. Got the Shrilias, got the Mikhails. He's ready to go for the next fight. Orion, 2 items. We also got Shoes on 2 items. Scrub McLord there as well. Orbital, this is exactly what you hope for When you tune into the MEC to see some C-Lol action, this is what it's all about, baby. CSU trying to come back in this series. They haven't gotten a win in the MEC yet. Drury University trying to go for a 4-0 week would be something huge to start the 2024 season.
I mean, I would agree, but there's got to be a little bit of a desperation starting to creep up here, right? Cleveland State, they now have a little bit of control over which objective Drury are going to go for in about 3.5 minutes. So, Drury do have to start pushing the limits of what they can do right now. They need to look for another tower. They need to get a little bit more pressure in one of these side lanes or even in the mid lane, wherever you decide to go. And that's what Quick Slice is looking for, right? A little bit of jump in, trying to tag Jason down a little bit further. But remember what can happen, right? Arrow comes out. We see the backup come in. There are so many different pieces that can be moving around.
And it's even harder to try and target Jason. I mean, sometimes you don't see it coming, but you do have that Gwen W to hopefully try and prevent some of those big plays from connecting on the side lanes. Quick Slice has got to be careful. Got the mobility, but there's the Glacial Prison stunning him up.
Wow.
There's the Chain of Corruption finding Kaiser. He's dead just as the fight begins. And it's another pick for CSU as takes a huge chunk of damage. He was blighted up, and the piercing arrow comes through with the shutdown.
That is 100% what you needed, Cleveland State. They pulled the trigger, and granted, that is one of the reasons that the Ezreal is so highly valued in this jury. They played that about as best they could, right? Got away, got just barely out of that Glacial Prism, but the arrows from Scrub McLord are just too good, but that's shot right now. We're getting the second wave of fights.
Jason coming in, Fat Cat trying to kite back. I don't know if that's the target you want to focus on. Orion's okay. Jason gets the kill. Shoes tries to go in. Jason doesn't go down. The Gwen survives and is able to heal up. Now it's 2 on 5 pretty much. Kaiser gets low. Goes down. Scrub McLord, another pick, another skill shot connects. The True Shot Barrage is not enough to stop the Hype Train Orbital.
Nah, the hype train's still rolling. This is getting dicey, and I love it. Cleveland State making sure that every moment is accounted for, and they played that just as well. Drury were caught off guard with how aggressive Cleveland State has been in the last few minutes, right? Stepping out with very little HP and deciding to fight around that Baron, that showed Drury just saying, hey, we still think we can fight, and they did not take into account the level that Jason is currently at. 167 CS, 2-2-2. Yes, not the strongest in the world. It's still a Gwen. You have to give respect to a Gwen at that point, and it's going very well for Cleveland State. They have gotten control. Granted, they didn't get the Baron, but that's not their worry. They need this dragon, or they want this dragon. They are now going to funnel Drury into bad spots. This is why Drury is currently trying to set up as much as possible, and I mean, I expect Orion to also TP in very quickly and try and set up this kind of artillery barrage to keep Cleveland State low.
Kha'Zix is such a menace on this Sejuani. I mean, a brute force approach here from the jungler is starting fights so effectively, finding picks here and there all over the map. And, I mean, what can we not say about Scrub McLord that already hasn't been said? He is playing out of his mind. Level 14, almost the highest. Chooses level 15. And he's the same level as Quick Slice, and he's dishing out more poke than the Jace. Quick Slice gonna try to get some more damage in there. They're pushing underneath the turret. The dragon has spawned. Hyper. Shoes recalling. Teleport ready. We may get a fight. Jason on the bottom side of the map pushing as well. Gets an inner turret of his own. Here comes the objective, started up here by the Panthers.
I think they're going to be okay with that. They're actually going to look, Cleveland State are going to look for exit kills, right? You're taking a look at how far Jason is currently pushing, and they aren't really going to be able to stop him. A quick channel of the TP as well from the likes of Shoes. This is just going to be an arrow out.
Oh, he catches Aqualad! He can't flash out, but look at the bottom side of the map. Jason is doing damage. Yeah. That's going to be a bottom inhibitor. Orion caught out. Glacial Prison not used just yet. Staying, saving, not going to find it. Quick Slice tries to answer back, but the base is in shambles. It is Jason in game number 2 being the massive solo lane threat.
And this game is breaking wide open now. The strength of the solo lanes of Cleveland State is doing better and better. And now Jason on the back end saying, hey, I can fight this. I can be annoying. Get ready for this.
Here we go. Quick Slice is going to try to run his lane opponent down. He's got a lot of dashes. He's got his ultimate, and he's got Ghost coming back up as well. Drury, they may get the dragon. They stop the dragon soul from becoming activated, but at what cost? Orbital, the bottom lane inhibitor, goes down.
I mean, the cost is, I mean, it's almost a sunk cost fallacy, right? They invested so much into that dragon push, and Cleveland State were like, cool, we'll just take all of your side lanes. You are now looking at about, I want to say, 5-6 towers with the inhibitor down. This is beautiful from the side of Cleveland State. Now the question is, can they maintain this, right? I want to see the likes of Cleveland State be able to close out the game, and that is going to come off the back of Jason and Shoes kind of in the sideline with the massive force of Scrub McLord at 5-0-1, fully online for items in pocket. I expect Cleveland State to be able to roam a 1-4 or a 1-3-1 very easily and do with it as they wish, right? Dragon in 3 minutes. They now have all the items they wish to kind of contest.
Oh goodness, for Drury, this might be their big first test of the season here in a big game. I think they're hoping they come through in big Baron fight. The objective is started up here. All 5 members of Cleveland State grouped up. Hawkshot gonna get them all the vision. Scrub McLord coming in. Awkward teleport from Orion. A whole lot of damage though onto Scrub McLord. Aqualad goes down, and now it's numbers advantage for the Panthers. They're advancing. Scrub McLord has been taken out of the fight. Kha'Zix, no support. Shoes is there as well, and the Panthers out of nowhere. Quick Slice trying to go for more. You know, looking for more damage, but Jason, he goes bot. Can he do it, Orbital? Somebody has to go and respond. It's Orion who used teleport in there, and now the rest of the Panthers look to secure the objective. Shoes is low. Scrub is low as well. Oh my goodness, what a fight from the Panthers. I was talking about their first test of the season, and here, in that moment, in that fight, they pass.
I mean, they did very well. They were able to back away, and I think that was really off the back end of Cleveland State. They didn't drop as many wards as I think they would have liked, right? They had enough, maybe not as much as they wished. They couldn't really tell exactly where everyone was, and at that point, Shoes was waiting for the perfect ultimate. They understood that Drury's poke could come out, but you saw it, right? That last ult just, it wasn't ready. Cleveland State, they I believe it was Kha'Zix that did pull the trigger and said, hey, we got to fight. We got to get this objective. But Shoes was not willing to commit. And because of that, Drury was allowed to kind of funnel out, spread out, get the artillery going. And all of a sudden, their tank was gone. Well played by Drury. Now they got to do it again. They got the Baron in their pocket. In a minute, Dragon will be up. They need to almost create an exact copy of just what went down and not lose a single member. That is what their hope is going to be.
Yeah, just do the fight perfectly over again. What could be?
Yeah, what's so hard about
League
that?
of Legends.
I mean, like,
just League of Legends.
don't get
it's
hit.
Easy game.
What is it? Just don't get hit. Just kill the Nexus 5 head. That's all you have to do. I mean, it's so easy.
Watch Jason here potentially catching Drury off guard. Oh, what's crazy to me is how much setup has to go into these objectives, because there's a lot of long-range abilities on both sides. Who's got better hands today on this Monday night MEC matchup? Let's find out. Orbital, on the Ezreal, Scrub McLord on the Varus, Quick Slice on this Jace dealing so much damage. The arrow comes in. Kha'Zix, a beautiful tank moment, but the stun lasts a long time. He's going to be forced to back off, and now the Drury push with the Baron buff commences. The mid lane turret going down quite quickly, but you got to watch out for those piercing arrows.
I mean, Yone's still split pushing as well, and honestly, I think Yone is the big follow-up right now. They need the Yone to actually do some real damage, and it's just not scared because the Yone's not there. You're fine. TP coming in behind, Quick Slice ready for the backup to get this dragon, and I mean, Drury are playing this late game extremely well.
Wow. Unbelievable. They get the mid lane inhibitor. That's going to be huge. The bottom lane inhibitor is back up. Quick Slice teleports. Kind of a wasted summoner spell. He's not needed. The rest of the team has got it under control. They're able to recall and now defend the base. Drury Panthers, they were looking quite down by a significant margin, and here they've taken back-to-back fights. The arrows from Fat Cat, that's going to be cleansed, but you can't cleanse the damage.
I mean, at this point, Fat Cat is just hunting, right? You're not even looking for the actual kill. You're just hoping to get summoner spells out. And now Orion's coming in from the side.
Looking for the pick. Kha'Zix gets ultimate. Jason trying to deal the damage onto the mage, but Jason's getting blown up. But wait, will he actually come out on top? Daisy's there. Scrub McLord is dominating. The turnaround from CSU. Shoes is in the bot lane, taking the inhibitor. This was a numbers down fight, but CSU somehow come out on top.
Drury, they bottleneck perfectly this time around. And Quick Slice was not able to finish off Jason. I think this is going to be GG.
Arrow comes in, flashing the ultimate, but Shoes follows in suit. Scrum McLord may go down, but so will the Drury Nexus. Cleveland State at the 33-minute mark, despite losing Baron, despite losing back-to-back fights, they come out with a huge turnaround and steal that game away from the Panthers. We're going to Game 3 on Monday night.
I think a lot of Cleveland State fans would disagree with you there, Mac. That was not stolen away from CSU. That's rude to say, but it is. It is so true. There was a moment where it felt Drury were coming back. Granted, it was not in the same form as in game number 1. By far and large, Drury were in control of game 1 from start to finish. This time around, it felt like they had that little momentum gap. They said, hey, there was that Baron fight that just felt a little bit off. But CSU, what did I say at the beginning? They had the confidence. They had the feeling of like, look, we just got to go for it. And those last few fights did so well in exemplifying that.
Unbelievable finish. Drury, they take Baron, they defend the base, they're marching up mid, and we've talked about CSU's shot calling and decisiveness since the start of the series, and I feel like this, you were talking about it during the draft, right? This is the start of the season. Let's choose something fun. Let's mix things up. In CSU, they found their groove. They looked a whole lot more comfortable in this one. Jason on the Gwen looked great, especially in that last team fight. So CSU, is it the start of something here? We'll see as, hey, the season develops. It's just week 1. We've got a whole lot of development to watch as these teams get used to playing with each other. They get used to the meta. Yeah, I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the scope of what an early start to the season is like, there's a lot of things to consider. There's also a lot that goes into thinking about the scope of an esports event as well, like MEC Clash or MEC Championship. I mean, there are so many things to think about, and that's one of the aspects of the top 5 things powering esports events, the article that was put out here by your very own Unified EA. One of the most important aspects is setting the scope of your event, like setting your goals and balancing your profit with your expectations. So, of course, like we said, if you want to learn a little bit more about how people power an esports event and more, go ahead and type !top 5 in the chat and check out our article of what it takes, top 5 things powering esports events. Once again, I think it's a very good read.
We are here live at the MEC Fall Championship. It's Kendo Slice, and I am with Cleveland State University's Sully. Sully, the question that we've been asking everybody, what does esports mean to you?
Well, esports to me is just like the ability to play with other players and compete with people and try to overall improve at the game. It's about not so much as winning, because when you win it feels great, but it's about learning the game and playing the game at a high level and having fun at the competitions. That's what it's all about to me.
Having fun and the competition. Love that. First off, I do want to ask, over the last 3 months or so, we're talking scholastic esports.
Yeah.
Has there anything that the last 3 months has enabled you to learn?
For esports specifically, well, playing with my teammates, because before this I played at a 2-year school, and so it's 2-year school. We had a lot more fun with it. Like, we didn't really do as well, but kind of just went in there and played some weird comps and just had fun. And now playing with all these other CSU guys, they just made me better, because playing with like better people and surrounding myself with better people just helps me learn. So I can kind of take things from everybody and take all their different play styles and mesh it into one. So
I love it. It really does happen everywhere, folks, whether it be esports or as well as real life. We all grow each other, and seeing that in the team dynamic is fantastic. We're at LAN.
yeah.
It's another opportunity to get not only that team dynamic, but to look across the stage and be like, hey.
And take from them too.
You're taking positives from that. You know, you're getting them shook. I heard you all did fantastic earlier in a match. The LAN process. What's it been like for you? Have you enjoyed your experiences with LANs?
Yeah, so especially we didn't have school yesterday because our school observed Veterans Day, so it's like a 3-day weekend. We get to travel. It's like a vacation. We get to stay in a hotel. Last night we played some cards, different card games in our dorm room all together, in our hotel room all together. So it's like a big vacation, which is awesome. And then on top of that, we get to come here and play some Valorant, and that's the cherry on top.
I love it. And you throw on top of it, there's more to come.
That's right.
Favorite esports moment, but we're shaping it.
Okay.
It's from the last 3 months. It's going to be from this semester. And excuse me there.
This semester, actually, today was probably the best moment because we played earlier. I got an ace. That was pretty awesome. And then the game before that, I did pretty well, and I got a triple spray transfer, which I'm pretty proud of, which I can't wait to go watch that tonight later. And so probably today. Today's probably been my favorite.
Hey, there you go. And this is just the beginning. It's not just the peak. Finally, we're looking forward toward the future. What does the future look like for you in esports going into the next semester? Anything coming up that you're excited about?
Well, I mean, this is our first semester as a team because me and Lime, we're new to this team. So we're looking forward to being able to practice more over winter break. And we're looking at this semester, we're looking at this as kind of like a practice run, like a dry run.
Yes.
And then next semester, we're getting for real. We're getting real. So next semester, we're planning on doing a lot better. I'm happy with our results this semester, especially just forming. But now that we've been together for a year, it's gonna be over.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2024 CLOL season of the Midwest Esports Conference. We've got an exciting Monday night matchup between the Cleveland State Vikings and the Drury Panthers. We're going to game number 3 after CSU managed to hang on, find a decisive fight, and come through with the victory in game number 2.
It was one that I was surprised but impressed about, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is, I always say, a story that's written in every single series. Sometimes it's only 2 games, sometimes it's only 3, in a best of 5 or anything like that. The story of Cleveland State and how they have grown from game 1 to game 2 is something that I'm very impressed about. Game 1, very, very just defensive. We weren't sure exactly what we wanted to do. The game just felt kind of like there were opportunities to take control, but they didn't really grasp it. And I have to give praise to Kaizix in game number 2 here. The Sejuani made things happen. It was the most brute forces that I've ever seen. I can't even say it right. It was very just like my champion is made to go. I'm going to go. And the follow-up behind with the likes of the Yone, the Gwen, the Varus, the Karma, there was everything in CSU's kit that was like, we just have to follow. And the times that we actually saw them faltered, where we saw Drury, actually, you and I were talking about it, as well as with our production, just saying, yeah, Drury felt like they had an opportunity to come back. Those were the times that we saw CSU actually falter and not be willing to commit. We saw the Yone ult not be used. We saw them kind of back away from an engage. So these things all coming together, I think, make a very telling story of where CSU currently is, and where Drury is also like, oh gosh, they're kind of powering up. Let's, maybe not draft Pure early with that, with the Jace in the top side and a little bit maybe on the weaker side on that bot lane. But, I still think the comp worked, just a few hiccups here and there.
Yeah, and another notable difference, I think, for this Cleveland State roster was the prioritization of getting those solo laners very active in the side lanes. You were talking about it, Orbital. Yone and Gwen extremely strong in that situation, and for Cleveland State, this was a team that hadn't really run that sort of thing, especially in the top lane, so we would question their ability to run it effectively, but consistently in the mid game and even towards the end of the game, they were finding opportunities to push Drury to their limits. I think just enough to really come through with a turnaround victory here to push us to a final deciding game. And I believe Drury has elected to stay on the blue side. Now, I think it comes to question, especially as we get geared up and ready to go for the draft. I'm thinking about the bot lane picks. The bans feel pretty locked in, but for the bot lane, it was really Scrum McLord who, despite being down in game number 1 and not really having too much of an impact, boy, what a turnaround was it in game number 2. I mean, so much damage getting pumped out by the Varus.
I mean, at one point was 5-0-1 came out and said, hey, I can fight it away, and I think that's what you're kind of hoping for, right? The unleashing of power from one of your laners, and Scrub McLord was not allowed to do that earlier, and I think a part of that, as we said, a little bit more control over those solo lanes. And I think for Drury, you're talking about what needs to happen for game number 3. I think you got to kind of go back to the drawing board. The Ivern is really where I'm looking at and saying it had its moments. It definitely had its moments, but maybe you need a bit more of a spotlight on that champion. Ivern definitely takes the back seat when you take a look at what the champion's supposed to do. You're supposed to be kind of that safe. You're supposed to lay down the roots. You're supposed to also get the shields down. You're supposed to throw out Daisy. The champion itself doesn't bring as much as maybe the likes of Kaiser wants to do. When they were playing the Jax, it felt a lot more in control. It felt more like I can quite literally make a heart-stopping moment and still have damage. I can basically do all in one. Granted, you don't want those feelings for any one person to have to hold on to in any type of game, but I do think Kaiser should be giving a little bit more agency in that jungle, given a little bit more power to work with to move in throughout the entirety of this game 3.
I mean, from where that game 1 was at, we did not see the second half of that draft in game number 2 coming at all. It was just bonkers. And I think notably you bring up a good point, Orbital. The shift from Kaiser, who in the first series was on Trundle and Viego. I mean, can you think of more opposite champions compared to Ivern? So I think it will be interesting to see what he can do to sort of shift the impact of his game. Because not that it was a lackluster early game or a lackluster performance, but Drury, outside of those moments with their composition, felt a little out of sorts. It was CSU controlling the objectives early on, especially, and so yeah, very interested to see. I mean, we can try to predict what we're gonna see, but based on how game number 2 went, I don't know how you guys can expect us to try and put together what these guys are gonna cook up for our final showdown. But I know I'm excited. I think this is a big series for both teams. Drury trying to get a 2-0 start to their, I believe, 3rd or 4th season here in the MEC. You know, Fat Cat, a veteran, talking about the process of bringing in new players, trying to build up a team culture. And I think this is where you find out what everyone's made of in these close series. This is their first game 3 of the season. I know it's early on, but hey, it's a lot of these guys' first time going to the brink of this match. And I think from both a strategy perspective and hey, you've got to last. You've got to play against these same guys 3 games in a row. I wonder what we're going to see from the players in terms of who's going to rise to the occasion. For Drury, I'm looking for another big game from Quick Slice in the top lane. I wonder how that matchup is going to shift headed into this final match.
There's, I think, another emphasis on that top lane. Once again, I put a spotlight on it because I'm always interested in players that do not have the strongest play, because that's kind of how I play. I'm a very I play safe. I play very kind of concerned. I play like a rock, right? I play like Vigard. I play champions that scale into the mid to late, so you always have that backup. But you do sacrifice something when you do that. And for me, Jason just kind of felt like that. It felt like that we can play steady even if you lose, but it's just not as viable an option anymore. And in the training in the top side, the Gwen did not look as clean as, say, Quick Slices did, right? Obviously, that was not the case, but the power was still there. The skill was still there. My problem now comes about is, as you were saying, what's Quick Slice going to bring out? Obviously, I don't think the Jace would still be a bad option. I'm actually looking more into Kha'Zix. I don't think you actually want to give CSU that jungling ability. Now, is it ban worthy? Probably not. I don't think the Sejuani is ban worthy. What I do think is you need to find a way to kind of shadow ban it out, or at least make a funnel of a way that Kha'Zix does not want to play something like that. However, at the same time, that could just be a ban, right? Take away the J4, throw in the Sejuani, or just double ban. I don't know. I think Kha'Zix got a little bit too easygoing there with the Sejuani.
Yeah, especially thinking about how weak it is early on. Kaiser unable to really get an invade going. There was a decent amount of communication going into, I think, stopping that sort of play. And so the Sejuani, when they're able to get through the first jungle clear A-OK, it's just a breeze from there. So we'll have to see. Drury not switching anything up in terms of the bans, as I mentioned before. I think for the most part, these feel like a lock for both sides in terms of thinking about the strategy, what they're feeling in this series. Not going to be given any of those power picks over the Bard. Once again, taken away. Poor Fat Cat just wants to go around collecting chimes, but not going to be able to get an opportunity in this one.
So here's the change up, and this is what I was curious about. It's amazing because Scrub McLord actually gets 3 banned out, and the 3rd ban from CSU was actually the Jhin from before. So here's the question. Do CSU actually give over the Jhin and actually ban something else out, because now their bot lane was targeted? What are your actual choices here? Because you know if you leave that Jhin open, it's going to go straight to Drury's pockets. You know that's going to be picked up, and you have to have a response. And I mean, that could be the bait of the century, right? Like forcing, I think it was like Faker to pick up LeBlanc or something like that. No, it was the other way. There's just some question marks there, and I mean, I think you have to ban out the Jhin. You can't risk to give it over. I think this is appropriate. 4 ADC bans.
Karma still open. Bit of a power pick. I know Aquachad hasn't had like the biggest plays, but we saw early on his roaming potential making an impact into Shoes' lane, getting a kill on Orion. It was a solid performance, and I wonder if Drury's considering first picking it. Yeah. Maybe. Woo!
Yep. Go ahead, take it away. Break apart the bot lane that did very well in the mid to late of that game number 2. Granted, it was held down before, but now Drury are the ones that get to flex, and this is actually where I'm scared of. Orion has shown very, I want to say, exceptional talent in that mid lane of controlling no matter the champion that they're based on, and so this Karma could be flexed in that mid into that support role. Meanwhile, CSU have also done the same. They say, listen, you've been relying on that Ezreal a little bit too much, so also has to play something a little bit different. So we are getting what I would call one of the major shakeups for the first time in the series.
Ezreal going over to Scrub McLord. I think you do get that ability to arcane shift out of Karma. And now in aggressive support, Aquachad getting the reins on some engage tools. The Rakan coming out. Very interesting. CSU wanting some of those engage tools in their composition. And hey, I'm really interested to see how this goes in the bot lane matchup. Still have power picks like Misfortune available, and this makes it, honestly, I feel like a little tricky to play the Rakan early on. You're going into double ranged, and it's a double ranged matchup with a lot of damage early on. I'm talking Misfortune, first shot passive, Karma Q, that's like 33% HP, I feel like. It's gotta be up there. So we'll see the Lilia. This could be flexed orbital. We've seen Quick Slice bring it up to the top lane. The Drury Panthers, they're just looking absurd in this draft because where's the Karma going? Where's the Lilia going? They get to decide. We'll see how this one unfolds.
This is a lot of flexibility, but a good way to keep everyone off, I think, is appropriate. That Xin Zhao is going to do some work. That Crescent Guard is something that is utilized fairly often, right? Just make sure that you're safe, don't have too many damage points, and I mean, Kha'Zix should have a good time, but this is where the bans come out, right? It is no Sejuani, it is nothing of the sort, and that, I think, is the right call. You go ahead and keep that Jax off the table. Kaiser does not get that Jax, does not get that playmaking potential.
Big second draft phase orbital. I'm just taking in the first set of picks. Drury University mixing things up a little bit. They're going to turn over a new leaf in the bot lane, not going the Ashe Ezreal backpack. Going to have, honestly, maybe a little bit more limited information into the whereabouts of Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix shifting from the Sejuani, who's a big engager, into the Xin Zhao, who, hey, he had a really solid early game in game number 2, so I wonder if he can follow that up with another strong early game performance. Drury University thinking long and hard with this last ban here. Shoes is the target, limit the mid lane comfortability. Yone and Corki taking off.
I mean, you're also looking on the flip side, right? The play was also denied, so Ryan's going to have to fall very far deep. Same with Shoes. We are going to get brand new champions. Now, granted, Azir is still on the table. If either of these players does play Azir, you could go ahead and pick it up, and that's going to be the call here. Shoes says, I'll blind it all day long.
That was crazy.
Now,
that was good timing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Timing.
Listen. I put on my RMC cap for like half a second there. It was great. There is a moment, though, I think that I personally want to see because I'm just annoying. I want to see a Xerath come out. I love the long range of Xerath so much into Azirs. I love being able to poke them out instead, but that is obviously a solo queue pick. Do not do that any time of the day if you're any professional team because you will not win. This is going to be an Orianna. A little bit safer, a little bit more stylized. Obviously not as strong as we saw at the very tail end of the season last year, but still very good.
Going to be a new champion for Orion in the mid lane as Kaiser mirrors the Wukong. He's thinking, hey, I gotta get something that can somewhat match the Xin Zhao in the early game, and Wukong's got a few abilities to help make that happen. Now it's CSU in the top lane. They know it's likely Quick Slice's Lilia, and they go with the Malphite. Hey, they need more engage.
Yeah, they totally do. You know, listen, if you're going to get to the back line, I do understand this, but, I mean, you're going to have a rough time. This is again, a fallacy that I think we're falling back into. I really, really like Jason on aggressiveness, right? I love the Gwen in game 2. I like being able to get it in your face. It's true. If it's AP Malphite, that's a whole different story, but I'm always leaning in these games to see a tank Malphite come out. Yes, some of the items recently have helped buff it up. I mean, I think we saw the Kern earlier on. It was a very strong, you know, extra MR just out the wazoo every 12 seconds. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I hate that item, by the way. Please remove it.
PSA.
Yes, PSA. The Malphite, if we do see AP Malphite, go for it. I will 100% back that. But I want to see Jason... I don't know. I don't think we're going to see it, but I want to see Jason be more. I guess I want to see a Jason allowed to be a little bit more upfront and not having to give way to level 6 to level 8 until the rest of the team comes up and helps.
And I think for the side of Drury, I don't know if we've seen this kind of composition from them. And I know Ori with Orion is pretty similar to Wei. You got a lot of that team fighting mage stuff going on. Kaiser going to be able to engage. I think this is going to be a huge test for Kaiser's Wukong. the Wukong did not look good in game number 1 for Kha'Zix. I'm going to wonder if he can turn this around, maybe go toe-to-toe with the Xin in the early game. CSU, they got a lot to like in terms of we want to focus on those team fighting shot calling. They've got a lot of go buttons, Orbital, the Malphite, the Rakan. They can go in decisively together, hopefully try and follow it up. But I wonder if Quick Slice, hey, he likes to feast on these tank matchups, and Jason's got to be careful up in that top lane. So getting ready for game number 3. It all comes down to this. Drury University taking on Cleveland State. Monday night MEC. Summoners, welcome onto the Rift as we finish off week number 1 of our 2024 MEC CLOL season.
I couldn't ask for a better way to hop in and be here. Like, my first time in forever, I think, with MEC, just being able to sit down and watch these games and get a game 3 of all things, right?
Woo-hoo!
I love it. And the fact that we're even getting an invade, please invade this. Oh my god. Have a lot of fun with this, CSU.
No way. You know it's not going to be ready. They're playing around the vision very carefully. He sees it, maybe too late. Flash, not going to come out just yet. There over the wall, burns the summoner spell. And in a mobile misfortune, Cleveland State, I think, have a new target they're going to be hunting for.
I would hope so. I mean, if anything, this is just going to allow CSU to have a bit better laning phase, right? Scrub McLord being like, yo, you banned out my Varus? Cool. I'll take your Ezreal. I'll show you how it's done. And Aqua Chad, on this Rakan, like you were talking about, a little bit more difficult to go in against the double range composition. Well, now you're pretty much guaranteed if Yuno's in range, you get the damage, and Yuno knows that as well, right? So in this back and forth, almost chess matchup, you may or may not have given your ADC a massive amount of room to breathe.
And this is exactly what CSU is hoping for, right? I mean, we've talked about them trying to make plays early on the bottom side of the map. I feel like we haven't seen it too often, just based on how the lanes have been kind of set up. But for a situation like this, where you're going into the double raid matchup, you know it's going to be kind of a tougher early game for Scrub, for Aqualad, and you go ahead and start it off with that. Well, hey, this is an emotional game, I like to think, and starting off with something like that, gotta help the boys get ready, get into that game 3 mindset. Cleveland State playing together. We'll see how it goes. Junglers starting on opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, I mean, Scrub McLaurin maybe not feeling the game 3. Missed a melee minion. That feels bad. Ooh, worst thing in the world to ever happen, you know? 23 gold down the drain or something. I don't know. Either way, I do agree there's a lot on the line here. And I harken back to what you said earlier. This is a big game for them to start off their season, right? For the likes of Cleveland State, first game win, they want their first series win. Drury, they really want to show that they can be a force to be reckoned with, especially if you are facing off against like GVU later on in the season. Like, you want to put on a good show. You want to show that you've improved. And we talked about Fat Cat also saying, hey, this is a season that we're trying to show that we can rebuild. We're a really good organization. And if they can make a mark here 2-0 and really solidify themselves, hey, that could be the turning point that they need.
Big invade coming in early on. I think Kaiser has spotted this, but look at the entire bot lane. We've got a rumble in the jungle. Kaiser's getting low. He's forced to flash away. Scrub McLord dashes out. Kaiser, I think, going to be able to pick up his red buff in peace, but for CSU, that's an early invade that I think goes a little wrong.
I mean, they tried to get a little bit overconfident, which this time around, I like the idea. You push in hard, try and get some value, but I think Kaiser, Yuno, and Fat Cat were more than ready for it. They said, hey, we kind of know that you're rotating in, and that puts Kha'Zix a fair beat behind. Take a look at how far behind they are. They were able to collect the Scuttle, which is nice in their hand, but I mean, you give over the fact that Kaiser now has a decent amount of information. Kha'Zix doesn't have flash. You're not going to be really of use for anyone in the lane so far.
Kaiser, oh my, what in the world?
I didn't think that would kill, and then I saw how low that was, and then the seedling took out. I was like, oh my gosh.
Quick slices Lilia. Unbelievable. We know this is a high impact player, but Hyper, I gotta hold that thought. Kha'Zix looking for a gank. Not going to be able to find it. The Karma move
flash.
speed enough to get him out. Yeah, can't find the engage. It's warded as well. They saw it coming. And talking about Quick Slice, I mean, this is Drury's potential star player making a big impact. We were hoping he could take advantage of this matchup early on. And hey, he's got a Haunting Guys on the first back. Hello?
Whoa.
That's huge!
This is also Tank Malphite, and I gotta say, I'm not liking the grass in the end dying, right? Like, I know that you thought you're gonna be in between enough to get those auto attacks off, but I don't think Quick Slice is gonna allow you to do so. It's just not gonna be a fun time. So already, Jason, being put in this scenario where you're not allowed to really kind of express yourself, and it's gonna be a problem now. In the mid lane, Shoes getting jumped on.
Gonna be able to shuffle on out of there as the rest of the Panthers start grouping around maybe the Grubs. I thought Kaiser looks like he has the lane priority to safely kind of go for this one. CSU, they've got a whiff of what might be going on. They're gonna start up the dragon.
It's a nice gift, right? For everything that's gone kind of awry, it feels good to just like get a dragon in hand, I guess. Even though
and
you
a
are giving up
defensive
the
one at that.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay, we'll use this to our best advantage. This should help. Grubs on the other side, though. This is actually huge. So I was talking about before that I like when teams go for Grubs when you already have strong laning phases, right? When you already have the strong laners ready to go that can actually utilize it, even in the early phase. Even if you don't have the Voidlings, you get a little extra damage, right? And you get a little bit of extra ramping. Already, Quick Slice is going to be able to utilize those Grubs, like, immediately, right? Take a look at where Quick Slice is. Quick Slice does not care because Shoes is now getting jumped on. The solo lanes are still getting battered down against CSU.
Junglers in the mid lane. Kaizix dashes in. Kaiser's a level up, but Shoes is dealing damage from the back. And so much at that. Scrublord flashes away. Uses that summoner spell. Aqualad in turn going the opposite direction. Maybe some miscommunication there. Aqualad just trying to help out his ADC. Get on out of there. Meanwhile, Lilting Lullaby, unstoppable by the way. Jason able to escape on out of there.
You know, I keep talking, and every time the teams prove me wrong, so I think I just need to shut up because that was very well done. Very well done from Shoes and Kaizix, right? The turnaround factor, and that is what Xin Zhao is going to provide. It's still a little bit of an engage tool. It's not the CC tool that you wanted from before, but it's still pretty dang strong, right? It provides damage and it provides a way to engage, so it does the same job. Here's the problem. You're still leaving top on an island, right? Quick Slice is now about 20 CS up. You're having a ball up there. Quick Slice is like, as long as Kaizix is not in top lane, I'm fine. I don't care what happens. However, bot lane might not say the same.
Fat Cat gonna try to root him down. Wind becomes lightning and he dashes in. Flash knock up from Kaizix. Fat Cat escapes. Barely getting out of danger there, Orbital. And a lot of cooldowns burned there. You know, also using heal.
Yeah, that's kind of rough. Fat Cat's like, okay, I see where the jungler is going to go from now on. This is their life right now. And honestly, Kaizix, I huge congrats, right? You know you're down in this farm game against Kaiser. You've been visiting the lane so much more than your jungling counterpart. And yet you're willing to sacrifice that extra farming just to try and get lanes ahead. So I really, really respect that from a jungler point of view. Very self-sacrificing to try and help out the rest of the team. I'm just not sure if it's going to be enough. We're now seeing a little bit of help go towards that top side, so Quick Slice should be ready for this.
Aqualad comes on up. You know, you can leave Scrub McLord in the bot lane on his lonesome on the Ezreal pick, and Aqualad's just going to show he's like, I can't probably kill Quick Slice, but I just need to, you know, try and relieve some of the pressure here. And I think he does so successfully. I'm getting remnants of what feels like game number 1 from these two teams. Quick Slice having a ball in this tank matchup. Kaiser doing farming things where he's getting up ahead early on. Lilting Lullaby available but not used. And this time, Orbital, it's Fat Cat now up on the top side of the map. Kaiser, level 6, looking for a play. I don't know if he's been spotted just yet. As the Swirl Seed did miss. Quick Slice looking for something. He wants it with Fat Cat so bad, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get it. Shoes on the Azir is actually coming up to the top lane as well.
This is going to be real dangerous. Remember, Shoes has a very different game
No
than
way.
game
They
number
don't
1.
know.
Has a little bit more power. Jason flashes away and has to ult out. Oh, Shoes, I don't know if you want anything, but this is the big difference, right? I mentioned it before, and I want to touch on it. Shoes is not technically down. Instead, Shoes is actually up in the CS department. So, whereas in game number 1, both solo lanes were able to pressure in and create an opportunity for Kaiser to kind of walk in between, they actually have to section off. Orion actually has to play safe. Kaiser doesn't get the overwhelming I can ward up and keep our top lane safe. So, Quick Slice has to play just a tiny bit more reserved. I wouldn't say fully, right? Maybe instead of like 95% going in, maybe it's like 85 to 90%.
But look at what's going on the top side of the map. It is grub domination by the Drury Panthers. They are going to stack up all 6. For the first time that I've seen all season, a team gets all 6 grubs. And that is going to give, I believe, 2 Void Mites per champion, dishing out a lot of damage, a lot of pushing power. I know they don't have the strongest side lanes in this one. You know, it's no Gwen for Quick Slice, but hey, I think they'll take that additional turret pushing power as the Panthers have a 1k gold lead.
Oh, the ward.
Oh my gosh, Aqualad thinking about engaging, but no decisiveness there. CSU don't want to pull the trigger before Dragon.
No, you don't have to, right? There's no reason to aggress so heavily right now. You know top lane's kind of in its own hole, so might as well gather up these objectives like you have before. And, I mean, you should have it. However, a smite fight might occur.
Cyclone plus bullet time is the perfect storm coming in. They absolutely destroy the fight.
I was not expecting that. I will be honest. I knew they were strong, but that was brutal. That was brutal. Like, that is a trigger pull of trigger pulls, and I commend Drury for that. They said, hey, we know you're squishy. You're not super strong, and you see at Cleveland State not even able to really use any of their ults. You still see the Crescent Guard up and all.
I mean, what an engage there in CSU. That's why I was thinking maybe pull the trigger earlier on. You had the numbers you wanted, but they decide to back off. They start playing the objective, and that gives the Panthers an opportunity to pounce. Meanwhile, top side of the map, Isaac's going to try and make something happen. Wind becomes lightning, misses, but it is a double Lilty Lullaby. They're partnering it up very close together. Quick Slice going to try and do-si-do on the deer, but I don't think the turret damage, maybe? Okay. Oh, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Quick Slice gets something back on the other end of that fight. But, man, the Wombo combo from the Panthers. I even forgot there was an Ori Shockwave on top of the bullet time and the Cyclone. I mean, so much damage coming through is going to make these team fights fun to watch.
They're already fun to watch, right? The top side outplay, I would say, from Quick Slice, dodging out on 2 ults. Or not 2 ults, but 2 engages there. Very well done. But Orion looking to get some damage as well. Shockwave lands on 1.
Aqualad, a lot of shielding, a lot of resistance, but here comes, you know, trying to dish out damage onto Shoes. Doesn't have bullet time, but don't need it. It's just time to die at this point. Shoes gets sent back to base, but now another re-engage. The fight and just don't stop on Monday night. CSU unable to find the re-engage there. Jason gonna teleport back up to the top side and look at the pushing power start to come out. Here it is, Orbital.
Man. All right, we're seeing a little bit of a shakeup, which I do like. We are seeing the bloom, I think, also come out from Jason. This is an interesting. I'm pretty sure that if you're a part of a takedown, it blooms, right, and gives extra healing, I think, to everyone inside. So for a first, am I crazy? Is that the item that I was thinking of? Am I completely wrong? Or
oh gosh, it's a new season. There's too many new items. I don't think I've seen that one before yet on stream or even built,
we'll talk about the game. I'll double check that here as we get a fight in the jungle.
Isaac's getting real low. Kaiser, we talked about his lead, and he is pressing the advantage. getting a kill there on the jungler with the help of his bottom lane. Shoes trying to roam down, does have the Emperor's Divide. Here comes the potential engage, getting everyone in. Nobody going down just yet. Staying alive. Fat Cat still there. It's bullet time. Scrub trying to get out. There is the double kill. Shockwave coming through from Orion. The Panthers popping off here in game number 3. I know from last season they're used to duking it out in these close series matches, and that experience is coming through in a huge way. Drury up 8 kills to 1.
Looks so good, looks so clean, and Drury putting what feels like a final stamp on this game. I mean, that is a strong, strong presence. I do want to correct myself. That is not the likes of the Crypt Bloom. That is actually the Hollow Radiance on Jason there. It gives a little extra damage every time you take damage yourself. So a little bit different. It works just like an AoE damage sphere. So, hey, my brain, okay. I didn't remember. I do apologize for that one. Either way, still a lot of MR in the pocket. That's what you're hoping for, but it's still a problem, right? You're looking at Quick Slice having a ball on this top side, and now the likes of Orion and are now already with bounties on their head, right? They are looking stronger and stronger, and Drury feel like they are in control. At this point, I do feel like they're going to contest for this streak. It is, by the way, another Chemtech, which is crazy to me. That's 3 in a row now.
Oh my gosh, the Shockwave comes out, additional Malignance damage, and Orion is on a killing spree. The freshman from the Panthers has got 9 stacks on his Darksteel against the veteran presence in Shoes. He is rising to the occasion in this close match. All of Drury Panthers looking coordinated. This composition coming together very nicely. Makes quick work of the turret up in the top lane. And this is going to be yet another top side neutral objective. They got all the grubs. They got to complete it with the Rift Herald as well coming through.
I want to say this is also one of the more aggressive and more in control global objective wise that Drury have been, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Game number 1, a little bit of a flub there. Game number 2 obviously swung a little bit out of their control, but they have everything, right? With everything in the bucket, this is what the early game grubs and Herald afford you. You get to have all the early game pressure. Everything is in your favor, and that's why Cleveland State are currently grouping up this early. The Dragon's really not their fear, I think. It's actually the rest of what could come about.
Quick Slice with the move speed has 3 stuck in the lilting lullaby, and it's more like a nightmare orbital as Kaiser finds the engage, takes down Kha'Zix. Now looking for more. Jason goes bouncing around in the wrong direction as is on a rampage, takes down Shoes. That's 2 members fall. The unstoppable force must retreat. He has met an immovable Drury squad as they look to keep their foot on the gas pedal, pushing into the mid lane. Rift Herald has been summoned.
Oh, who's going to drive it? Come on, I want to see who's going to drive it. Who are they going to put it on? All right, in comes Shelly. I love Fat Cat for doing that. Thank you. Oh, they're going to do it again. Can they do it again? Yes, you go again. Where'd he go? Oh, you're running away. That makes me sad.
And
look at that.
The Fat Cat pilot go.
How far are you gonna go? Oh, okay. You hit your own tower.
Does it still deal damage? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. I would pray it doesn't, because that would be a horrendous mistake to make.
It'd be a new level of griefing in League of Legends. You're just gonna run around Rift Herald destroying your own towers. But anyway, taking a look, our producer helping us out, looking at the gold differential. Across the board, Drury is up big, 7.5K thousand gold lead.
Oh, so good. And I mean, this is what was the largest that we saw? I think in game 1, I think it was like a 6K at one point. Before Balloon. Sure. This is ridiculous, right? Like, Drury feels so much more in control, and the fact that the early game, it felt a little wishy-washy, right? Orion and Kaiser, it was very dangerous to swinging back in Shoes and Kaiser's favor. That actually scared me for a moment. It was like, oh man, is Orion actually going to fall? Is Shoes going to start steamrolling on this Azir? But it did not happen, right? They've held steady, they've held very, very strong, and Drury at this point, once again, how quickly can they close out? Last time, they flubbed a little bit, gave about 5 or 6 kills over, and gave us like a very slight heart attack, like a very mini one.
Yeah, right?
I don't want to see that again. I want to see them be real nice and steady, maybe be as slow as you were in game number 1, or speed it up, right? But in control as much as possible.
And here we've got, I think, what might be their most comfortable setup here. Just stick quick slice in a controlling position here in the side lanes. Let's make some magic happen. He's got a lot of priority. Kaiser looking for the engage, but the pushing power, I tell you what, Orbital, is going to be absolutely brutal as another inner turret falls, this time on the top side of the map. Quick slice, so much damage. Going to start pushing in with those Void Mites. Jason stuck between, I guess he is the rock, and the hard place is just, kind of this entire game at the moment. Cleveland State, I think with, the composition that they've chosen here, you got to look for some miracle engage with Aqualad and Jason.
Yeah, and I'll give credit over to Jason. This is not as rough as they've had it in previous games, right? 0-1-1, only down about 40 CS. That's not the worst situation that they've been in. It's just kind of the nature of things, right? You went Malphite against an AP mage that is considered one of the best currently. You're having a rough time. That's understandable. So I wouldn't really put this fully on Jason. It's just kind of the way that things broke out. You can see the goal difference between everyone is leaning in Drury's favor, except even the supports, right? Like the supports are currently 1,000 gold apart. So everything currently leaning in Drury's way. That I'm surprised that they're not positioning super heavily around Dragon. They got in the wards. They have the wards, they have the vision, they have the information. I wouldn't be surprised to see them just go like, yeah, let's just do Baron because we can. Like, we don't really have anything else unless we get some kills.
And still, I mean, they're not switching up from what they got going on. I wonder, just like in game number 2, I think Cleveland State did a really solid job of attacking Quick Slice in the side lanes, and it feels like at this point in the game, they're too scared to make that move just with how ahead Drury is elsewhere on the map. So Jason's left on his lonesome. Isaac's going to finally come down, and we'll see what if Drury are able to respond other places on the map. Quick Slice, so much magic pen, so much percent health damage. Isaacs is going to take a lot from this Lilia. It's not a fun position to be in. Blue buff, I think, is going to be secured for the Panthers. Everybody gets some mana regen, and Cleveland State right now, where is a safe spot for them to farm? I mean, their entire jungle just wiped out there by the Panthers coming in and taking what they think is rightfully theirs.
At this point, it is. They're just like, yeah, it's ours. I don't care what you say. This is mine. This is mine. This is mine. That's mine. And everything's mine. Kaiser, seeing an enemy jungler saying, no, you're in the wrong jungle, pal.
Oh, wow. Unstoppable. 504, the lethality misfortune that I think Orbital was afraid of at the start of the day has come to fruition. And the Panthers, look at all the Void Mites running in. So much. Sunfire, or no, not even Sunfire came. I don't know if Jason has anything to help out with those, but regardless, a lot of Void Mites being spawned by the entire gang, but Dragon is spawning up here. Unstoppable Force, Engage coming in, Shoes with the Emperor's Divide. They're going to try to turn it around a Lilton Lullaby. Quick Slice is full HP. He's just running around like a kid in a candy store, dealing damage all over the place. It's a double kill for the Drury top laner as Orion comes in. He's on a rampage. Is the only one that goes down. It is a 4-for-1 trade.
And let's be real, Cleveland State played that about as good as they could have, right? The shift came in. Yes, Jason only focused one, but that was one of the best engages we've seen from them this game, and it's just too little too late. Dragon being taken, inhibitors being taken, Baron on the table. There is nothing for Cleveland State to do but to watch their base fall apart and say, what did we do wrong?
Wow. Drury University up 12,000 gold at the 23-minute mark. Game number 3 decidingly going in their favor. They even got more Void Mites running towards the cause, even though they're going to falter there a little bit. Not going to be able to get very far. Drury got their eyes on Baron.
Oh my gosh, they even TP'd up top too. They are going to commit for this. This is just like draw pressure top, and we'll look if we can get a kill, and then look for Baron. Or just look to end. One or the other, right? Like, that's all they have to do.
I mean, just stick Quick Slice where you don't have super minions, and they'll try to figure out the rest. Baron attempt is going to be spotted. We have Aqualad with Kha'Zix trying to find a way in, but, I mean, Quick Slice just says, bro, you are not getting anywhere near close this objective. Kha'Zix has to back away and give this one up to the Panthers. It feels like the cherry on top as the super minions start breaking into the base. Baron up is going to make it a whole lot trickier to take them down. Shoes trying his best to limit the impact of the bottom inhibitor, but Orbital, his team needs him back to defend. He's channeling the recall now.
I was about to say, I really hope we're going to see that 5v5 at the end of the day, because Cleveland State, their whole comp revolves around it. They revolve around landing this big Azir shuffle and getting all this damage down. Maybe they don't have the back end, but they need to make something happen. That's going to be the last inhibitor tower to fall. This is going to be that one big chance.
Here we go, Jason looking for the ultimate. It only connects
only
there
lands
onto
on one.
Orion. So much shielding, not enough damage.
Oh my gosh!
The brick wall from the Drury Panthers is unbreakable. Beautiful game from them. They're gonna clean house in the enemy base. It's a triple kill for Quick Slice. 7, 1, and 7 as the signature Lilia comes out and takes over the game. They take the series.
I mean, it's understandable, right? Drury, it didn't feel like they were in a lot of control, but they were, right? Came down to it. They were in control of most of the global objectives. They're laning. Yes, Orion maybe had a little bit of a trickier time than in game number 1, but still came out vastly on top. We were talking about the difference, right? I think it was, what, 4-0-3 at one point? Brutal showing there. And then Quick Slice. Like, you mentioned that, hey, Drury are like, yeah, this top lane is going to be our new kind of star here. Already a freaking star. Granted, amazing matchups. And here's the thing. Granted matchups, if you have like a Lilia versus a Malphite, yes, it's a matchup that favors a Lilia. But do you have the skill and talent to actually make that your own? Do you actually have that skill to be able to make it a winning lane for yourself? I think, you know, Quick Slice has that easily in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Drury, a 2-0 start to the 2024 season. I'll say their hashtag that I think is getting flooded in the chat. I don't have the chat on one of my monitors, but Orbital, you're going to be seeing a lot of all they do, DU, all they do is win. And so far, that is true for the start of the season. You want to keep in mind, Orbital, you want to see these MEC players live and experience all of this exciting esports fun for yourself. You should come and watch the MEC Spring Clash coming soon at the Unified Gaming Fan Fest Deerfield on February 10th and 11th. Use the command in chat. Everyone in Twitch chat, you can use this !Deerfield in the chat and follow the link to get your tickets and join us there for some very exciting esports action. I absolutely can't wait. Hope to see you guys there. We're going to hop into a quick break as we get geared up for the post-game interview. Don't click out of that browser. We'll be talking with one of the members of the Drury Panthers in just a moment.
We are here live at the MEC Fall Championship. It's Kendo Slice, and I am with Cleveland State University's Sully. Sully, the question that we've been asking everybody, what does esports mean to you?
Well, esports to me is just like the ability to play with other players and compete with people and try to overall improve at the game. It's about not so much as winning, because when you win it feels great, but it's about learning the game and playing the game at a high level and having fun at the competitions. That's what it's all about to me.
Having fun and the competition. Love that. First off, I do want to ask, over the last 3 months or so, we're talking scholastic esports.
Yeah.
Has there anything that the last 3 months has enabled you to learn?
For esports specifically, well, playing with my teammates, because before this I played at a 2-year school, and so it's 2-year school. We had a lot more fun with it. Like, we didn't really do as well, but kind of just went in there and played some weird comps and just had fun. And now playing with all these other CSU guys, they just made me better because playing with like better people and surrounding myself with better people just helps me learn. So I can kind of take things from everybody and take all their different play styles and mesh it into one. So
I love it. It really does happen everywhere, folks, whether it be esports or as well as real life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our continuing coverage of the CLOL MEC 2024 season. We are joined by the Drury University top laner, Quick Slice. Thank you so much for joining us for the post-game interview.
Hi, guys. Hi. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic, man. We're happy to have you on here. I'm curious, honestly, you're new to the squad. What's it like coming in, starting the new season, going 2-0?
Honestly, it's great. It's really great. I love my teammates. I love the school. I love the environment. And, you know, apparently we're pretty good too, so I'll take that.
Hey,
I'll definitely
that'll
take
work.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's start with game number 1, because you guys started out in this season, right? 2-0, very clean sweep. Coming into this game, or this series number 2, looking at the likes of Cleveland State, what were you kind of going into it? Because obviously you guys had a game plan, came out pretty hot, had a pretty aggressive composition. Was this within your thought process of just like, hey, this is a team that we want to kind of beat? Or were you more just like, this is just our standard style of gameplay, and we'll continue that gameplay? Was it the standard, or was it like tailored for CSU?
Well, I would definitely say that all of our drafts, we definitely like pay attention a lot to like whatever our opponents play. But I would say that's like a pretty like standard draft, like especially with our read and on the meta and the stuff that's going on right now. I think like there's a lot of karma. I don't even remember where we really played that game, but there's a lot of karma. And there's just like a lot of just like super aggro bot lane, super aggro like jungle picks, and then kind of like mid top is like whatever. So for us, like especially like that's a pretty standard champions for us, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. Well, headed into game 3 of the series, I know I was messaging Fat Cat a little bit before, trying to get some insight into y'all, because I'm excited to see y'all back. And I mean, Fat Cat was calling you the GOAT, man, and I think for good reason. Pun, kind of, with Lilia being a deer. But I'm also kind of curious for you as kind of stepping up as a leader. Did you have a big speech or anything headed into game number 3, or how'd you get everyone straightened away?
So honestly, like I'm a big proponent of just letting it be type thing. If you understand what I'm saying, like, you know, I think like when a push comes to shove, you know, we can hunker down and we can get ready to play. And like when I need people to listen to me, they listen to me type thing. So outside of that, like they're allowed to do whatever they want. You know, if they want to warm up by playing Rocket League, they're allowed to do that. You know, like if they want to, you know, bullshit or whatever, they're allowed to do that. It's just like as soon as they get it in the game, it's like, all right, boys, you know, we focus up. And then, you know, even in game sometimes, you know, I like to keep it chill, like to keep it cool, you know, like to make some jokes, you know, so, you know, like if you know, you know. If you know, you know. These guys, they know.
Sure.
They know.
They know.
I mean, I would have been thinking you were cracking jokes too. I mean, that game 3, we were talking about the difference with the Lilia on the top side. I mean, that was a matchup that it looked like you were making jokes the whole time. Was that a matchup that you were expecting, or was that one that when it came out, you were just like, hey, this is the time, because you were pretty much controlling everything that game from the start of the early towards the late?
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, I have no idea what they were thinking for that one. Like, no idea. Like, I'm not going to get into like the specifics of Lilia matchups. I'll let the other teams try and figure that out. But Malphite is an absolutely terrible pick there. And as soon as I saw that, I kind of already knew, like, okay, like, I don't even need anything. I don't need resources. I don't need time. Like, you guys can play your game. Like, I'm going to leave this lane up 50 CS and probably a kill or two if he's not, like, playing perfectly. And the moment that, like, he was not playing perfectly, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a tragedy for the enemy team. This is really bad. You know, I'm a bit of a problem. You know what I'm saying? A bit of a problem. You can't see. Hold on. Let me see.
Gotta get back in frame. Gotta get back in the frame. There we go.
There we
go. Hey, let's go.
Oh, Quick Slice. Well, before we let you go and keep being a problem out there on the Rift, I do want to give you a moment for any shout outs before we let you go.
Oh, dude. I think I get to give the biggest shout out to the DU fans, David's homies, Seth's homies, you know, Kai's grandparents, like the whole squad in the chat. You know, even a Pathing.
Yeah.
You know, I'll give a Pathing, you know, his shout out to like all of these guys who come to our games. You know, come and cheer us on. Like, it means the world to me to be able to play for them, and it means the world for me to be able to be here and have that support. You know, especially because I didn't have that support last year. You know, I'm not gonna wash out the rest of the, you know, the shout outs with other people. I gotta give it to the fans, bro. Like, mwah, I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Well, that's what it's all about, man. Thank you so much for joining us again. Congrats on the 2-0 week. Hope the rest of the week goes as smoothly as that last one, man. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And that's going to do it for week number 1 here in the MEC 2024 season. What a joy. Drury Panthers coming away with the Monday night victory in game number 3 there. Hey, it's a long season, though. We've got plenty of CLOL action coming. You won't want to miss it. The next stream, week number 2, starts off this Friday night at 7 p.m. Central. And Rocket League on Wednesday as well, so you got plenty of MEC action to keep you busy throughout the week. We got CSU back in a primetime slot, taking on Ottawa University Friday, February the 2nd, so hope you're able to make it for that one. But for tonight, that's going to do it. Thank you so much, Orbital, for being with me in the casting booth. It's been an absolute pleasure. To everyone in the chat, all the Unified and MEC faithful, we appreciate you guys checking out the stream. Hope you guys enjoyed the matches. Hope everyone has a good night. See y'all next time.